Welcome, race fans, here tonight at WSSR Cup Series as well. It's been a long season for these gentlemen, and it's going to be something to see here. These guys fought tooth and nail all the way through the season. It's been a long season, but guess what? We made it to round number 12. Start of their playoffs, Trevor, where these guys here, some of them, actually got a win at the beginning of the season and had lay back and just do their racing and having some fun and, getting the points that they needed. Then you had some drivers that had to battle through the season, to the midway point, got their win, and they could relax for the second half. And then we came down to the end of the last 4 weeks where guys were battling to get into the top 16 for the playoffs here tonight. And it was something else to watch as tonight's race is going to be brought to you by the Roasted Jan Coffee. Make sure you go over and check them out at their website, and you can use their promo code here at WSSR to get 10% or 5% discount on your next purchase from Roasted Gems Coffee. But Trevor, we come to the Darlington first round of the playoffs, and What a race to come to start your playoffs, man. These guys are going to be tackling the lady in the black or tough to tame, whatever you want to call it. But what do you think we can expect here tonight, buddy?
I expect it to be very tight, very hard to get around this racetrack for these guys. Maybe we saw last week a track that we thought was going to be easy. Phoenix, all the calamity we saw last night. Darlington, the track that's too tough to tame. That turn two wall is going to come at them quick. And Robert, I think we might see a little bit more chaos here tonight in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, well, that's what I was afraid. I was afraid you were going to say that, Trevor, man. But let's hope not. Let's hope these guys can, make it the next couple laps, get them tires warmed up, and rock and roll this place, because this is a really fun track. Yes, it might be a one-groove track around this here. You have to really work turn number one to try to get that pass to go down and outbrake or try to, out-strategy your guy or your opponent that you're racing against going down into turn 3 and 4, because I believe that's where the trickiest part of the track to me is turn number 3 and 4. Now, some guys might have that, part of the track figured out, Trevor. Then you're going to have other guys that are going to struggle going 1 and 2. And like you said, you really have to pay attention on exiting coming out of 2, because that outside wall, it just seems to be the place where everybody just smacks it and then winds up on the inside wall, and then you're spinning down the backstretch, and it can cause, a whole massive wreck or, man, God knows what it could happen.
Yeah, Darlington, shaped like an egg. It's a really odd-shaped track. 1 and 2 is really wide, but you got to hit that apex at the exit of turn number 2. Otherwise, you'll just push up into that outside wall. Like you said, that turn 2 wall, shoot down across the track, cause a lot of chaos there. And then turn 3 and 4, that's the tightest area on the racetrack, and that's the spot where you can make some passes, you can lose some passes, and if you don't set up that run off of turn number 4 down the front straightaway, you can lose a lot of time down the straightaway as well.
That is very, very true. Well, tonight also here at Darlington is going to be the WSSR Cup Series Crown Jewel race here tonight, which is a little odd for these guys. They're actually going to be running 200 laps. We're actually not going to have one stage. We're going to have 2 stages. Stages are going to be on lap 40 and a lap 80 of the 200-lap event here tonight with these guys. And not only that, Trevor, it's throwback night here at WSSR. Of course, at Darlington, you know what that is in real life in NASCAR. Well, these guys are bringing back like the 90s cars and the early 2000 cars. So we have some beautiful paint schemes that we're going to be able to talk about tonight.
Yeah, great looking cars that we saw in practice and that you guys are getting to see here live as qualifying is underway. Really happy to see the participation from these guys in the throwback schemes here. A lot of good looking cars here tonight.
Most definitely, as we're looking at the Hooters car here of Alan Kowicki. That's an old, nice looking paint scheme right there. Man, that's a beautiful scheme if you ask me. But yeah, what in the world's he got in front of that Underbird? I never heard of an Underbird. Is that a new car?
The underdog story from Kowicki's championship season.
Oh,
the Underbird instead of the Thunderbird. They were calling themselves the Underbirds.
Got it. Get it now. I got it. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. I was like, wait a minute. Is there a new manufacturing coming out? I mean, I know Dodge said they don't want to be a NASCAR, but I didn't realize that we had a whole new manufacturing, but yeah, I mean, beautiful paint scheme. So we'll be looking at all that here tonight as these guys here. But also, we have some other news that we can also let everybody know here once we get this all set up here. We can also let everybody know the playoff standings here, what we're looking at in the playoffs here. As we got in the rankings 1 through 16, it's going to be Vincent Sora on the top right now and first in the playoffs. And then you got Zach Hall, Brian Johnson, Tom Sinchek, Cedric Hunter, Brandon Colley is going to be in 6th position. You got Kyle Rochelle in 7th. Christopher Howe is going to be in 8th there. Then we got Rich Jamerson also in 9th. And we got Ryan Bird going to be in 10th position. He was the one that was fighting to get in. We got Aaron Smith the second. He's going to make it in, be in 11th position outside of the top 10. Chuck is going to be there in 12th. Then we got Aaron Kralik, Carl Pooler, Justin Lewis that didn't know if he was going to make it in or not. And then we got James E. Dunning actually going to be in the 16th position. So I would say, Trevor, just watching the last 4 weeks, I would say from 11th on down to 16th, these guys were battling, really, really hard to make it into the playoffs. So, it's nice to see them make it to the playoffs, but now it's time to step it up one more game, and they can't just sit back because of the way this playoff round is structured, the way we go with two races, and then you knock out a couple, 2 races. So it's very interesting what these guys are going to do tonight.
Yeah, these guys are going to have to be aggressive, especially those guys that are further down in the pack or down in the points, like Justin Lewis, Dunning, and Chuck Sweeting. I mean, those guys are going to have to be aggressive tonight. Typically, guys that we see run around the 15th position, just outside of the top 10. So guys are going to have to scrap and claw for all the points they can get to try to stay in this round, especially with there only being 2 races before drivers are eliminated.
Well, that is very, very correct here. Well, if anybody wants to know and they're wondering, I am filling in for Sam, as Sam has not feeling good here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So he opted out of tonight's race here. But right now we're going to get ready to go into now qualifying is actually over. See, I'm talking so much I don't even know if we're out of qualifying, Trevor.
Yeah, qualifying just wrapped up. And on the pole for tonight is going to be the 15 of Vincent Sora. Then we'll have the 28 of Brian Johnson's going to be to his outside. Cedric Hunter's going to roll off in 3rd. Chuck Sweeting in 4th. Rich Jameson in 5th. Justin Lewis 6th. Aaron Smith 7th. Jamie Dunning 8th. Aaron Kralik 9th. And Steven Stimpian will round out your top 10 drivers.
All right. Well, starting 11th here tonight is going to be Ed Perry, with Brandon Colley starting 12th. Wow. Oh, man, I bet his mom's really upset. What's up with that, Brandon? 12th? Man, you can't even make the top 10. Very disappointed in you. You should have at least been in the top 10. Well, after that, we're going to have Kyle Rochelle in 13th. Zach Hall is going to be starting in 14th position here tonight, with Tom Sinjek in 15th. And then we got Jonathan in 16th. Christopher, well, way down there in 17th position. And then we got John Peel starting in 18th position right now. So that's your top 18 there right now, Trevor.
Yep, top 18 there. And 19th is going to be Alex Light. Dakota Moniz will round out your top 20. Brian Bird, after showing great speed last week at Phoenix, is going to roll off 21st. So not a great qualifying there for the 49 machine. Martin Morales down in 22nd. A little heartbroken still from last week, barely missing out on the playoffs after a late race incident for the 91 machine. Christopher Norris and James Kaufman will be 23rd and 24th. Tyler Dangler 25th, and start shotgun on the field will be the 23 of James Hackworth Jr.
All right, and that's going to be your starting grid here tonight with these guys here. So congratulations to those guys. But all right, well, we're going to wait for some green flag racing. But, if I was at 91, Martin, like you said, Trevor, he just missed out on the playoffs, unfortunately. But you know what? You know what you can do about that? Go tonight, get a win, redeem yourself. And show these guys, hey, I did belong in the playoffs, and I'm going to steal a win from one of your playoff drivers.
Yeah, Martin showed great speed last week. Started in the back, got a little bit of damage in I believe, the first wreck that we had last week. Then worked his way all the way up into the top 5 of the race, and then just unfortunate. And I believe the first green-white checkered restart got caught up in an incident there and pretty much ended his night, ended his chances at the playoffs. So like you said, Robert, I expect to maybe see the 91 up there fighting, trying to take some points away from these guys, trying to prove that he deserved to be in the playoffs.
Very true, very true. All right, well, hey, Sam, thanks for joining us out there on YouTube. Do much appreciate, buddy. And if you got any questions, ladies and gentlemen, hit Sam up on the YouTube chat. He's more willing to help out and answer any questions that you have, as he can be able to look in the background maybe and tell us what's going on with some of the drivers and keep the chat updated better than what we can here. But we're going to get ready to go back, well, not go back, but we're going to get ready to go green here for 200 laps. Stage number 1 is going to be lap 40, and let's see if all these drivers can survive at least the first 5 laps here as the pace car ducks in. We're going to get ready to go green here tonight with WSSR Roasted Gen Cup Series at Darlington Throwback Series. The Crown Jewel 200 is going to be underway as of right now.
And a good jump by the outside in 28 of Brian Johnson over the 15 of Vincent Sora. They're going to be side by side heading into turn number 1. And Cedric Hunter is going to be able to clear the 75 and Chuck Sweeney behind them, but still side by side for the lead between Johnson and Sora off of turn number 2. And Johnson trying to get clear there, not quite. And Sora's going to come back at him on the inside.
And we're watching the field go out of turn 2 there, and they actually did a good job. And they're still side by side for the lead here. Vincent Sora, Brian Johnson's going to have to try to figure this out real fast, because they're not going to be able to keep this up all night here, because that will just burn off the tires, because we got reports that the car is tight. And it's loose, tight, loose, depending on what tire you're wearing out. And right now, these guys are still side by side for the lead coming out of turn 2. What a battle as Brian Johnson finally clears the way.
Johnson clears the 15 of Vincent Sora. Now he's going to try to drive away. But like you touched on, talking to some of these drivers earlier, depending on how you drive this car is going to depend on if it gets tight, if it gets loose. And we've seen with these cars, once they get loose, they can be a handful to catch. And so that's going to be one of these things that drivers are going to have to watch out for. But Johnson setting sail, and now Cedric Hunter trying to find a way around the 15 of Vincent Sora.
As he's trying to look around Cedric Hunter there, and we look at all these nice, beautiful throwback schemes here. And we'll go through a couple of the cars here if we get time. But I got to give props as that sunset setting here at Darlington Raceway. Awesome to see that sun come down, and that's something else, Trevor, we could talk about. These guys are going to have to deal with that sunset until it gets behind at least the grandstands. How bad is that to go down into the turns and be able to not see from the sun?
As a driver, it's about as bad as it really is in real life, especially when you're behind another car really close to them. Now, you can't see because not only are you behind the bumper of the car in front of you, but you have the sun in your eyes, and it makes it really easy to miss your braking zone, your lifting zone, and can cause some incidents. So that's a couple of things that drivers are going to have to watch out for here tonight.
Oh, as we ride along with Brian Johnson here right now, as you can see here, you're not dealing with too much sunlight at all here going through turn 1 as he gets off the gas a little bit, and then, he's throttling coming out of turn 2. You really got it, but right there coming out of 2, you got that sun just beaming down on you all the way down into turn 3 and 4, and finally after he gets in the mid of 3, that sun goes away. So they'll be dealing with that for the next half hour, 40 minutes here until the sun goes down and the lights turn on, and we'll have a beautiful paint schemes night here under the lights.
Yeah, that we will, but big moment back in the pack. Christopher Norris got on the apron, 3 and 4, got loose. Thankfully, Peel was able to get around cleanly. Morales there, Kaufman, all able to get around the 38. But it looks like the 38, Norris really struggling here early on in this race.
Yeah, you can see, as Tyler Dinger just hit the wall on the outside, and that's definitely going to hurt the car a little bit. But yeah, like you said here in that number 38 there, Christopher Norris, it seems like the car's just not handling for him right now. And Tyler Dingler really has some damage on that 19 machine.
Yeah, thankfully, with this next-gen car, should be able to get a lot of that fixed. It shouldn't affect the 19 too much once they get to the stage and be able to make that pit stop and get that damage repaired. The thing you got to be careful about with this new damage model and the momentum-based damage in these cars, if you hit that wall hard enough and just at the right angle coming at it too, like Tyler did, it could break the toe link and injure Knight early on. So drivers really going to have to be careful of that as they go on tonight.
So do you think it's more, the damage ain't that bad unless you break that toe link? I mean, any damage is not good, but how far can you go until that toe link actually does break, Trevor? I mean, I understand, I get it, but I would imagine even just a little bit of damage would hurt it.
It's really weird. I've seen it, personally in league races, and I've seen it broadcasting where guys will hit the wall. It'll look like it killed the car, and then the next thing you know, they do a pit stop. They're back up there battling for the lead, and then you'll see somebody just brush the wall, and the next thing you know, they're going straight in the corner because they broke a toe link. So it's just really odd on how it affects the car sometimes, and you never want to hit the wall, but you can get away with it. But especially in these cars, it's scary when you do. Your heart drops for a little bit until you realize that you still have steering capabilities.
Yeah, most definitely, as we're still watching Trevor. But all right, well, we got a little bit of a report here that they forgot to give these drivers an extra set of tires here tonight. That was game plan here. So now these guys they lost a set of tires down on pit road. Now they got to try to make the tires what they have in pit road last for 200 laps here, Trevor. And that's going to be tough here too, because as we're still green here, 11 laps into the run. I got to give all the drivers props, on the start of the race, making it through any carnage that would have happened. But now what mind spec that you got thinking that you had an extra set of tires, now you don't have them.
Yeah, that changes your whole mindset, and especially here at Darlington where tires are so important. And now you're really going to have to manage your tires, manage your pace. And I think we're going to see the guys who are really good at saving tires, like a Ryan Bird, like a Tom Sinchek, Zach Hall, Vincent Sora, Brian Johnson. I think we're really going to see those guys flourish as they're able to save those tires and really utilize them. But not having that extra set of tires really going to affect these drivers tonight, especially with this race being 200 laps and with how severe the tire wear is here at Darlington.
Most definitely, as we're watching Dunning here right now, running back here in the 8th position in the top 10 is that chicken barbecue machine. That is, nice machine he's got going on there, but we'll see if he can keep it all night in the top 10. He started in 8th, and he is running in 8th, and then he's got Steven Stempian behind him, up one position. In 9th position, starting in 10th, which is kind of weird to see Steven Stempian start back in 10th position as, Dunning's going to hit the Darlington stripes. And, we're going to be seeing that all night from some drivers. They're going to get them nice little scrape marks.
Yeah, Darlington stripe, I believe that's number 2 that we've seen, as Tyler Dangler got one earlier, and now Dunning gets his Darlington stripe here tonight. They'll allow Stempian to get by him. But, you're going to hit the wall at some point. As he hits it really hard there out of turn number 2, Dunning really starting to struggle here in the 54 machine. But luckily, it doesn't look like he broke anything there, but the 54 really struggling. He's into the outside wall again in 3 and 4.
Ooh, yeah, something's going on with that 54. Unfortunately, now he's down. You can see that car is beat up. It's pretty damaged. And if I recommend to him, I would just go and try to maybe hit pit road, Trevor, and try to get that fixed, because I don't see it getting any better.
Yeah, not sure what he's got going on there. If maybe he wore out the tires a little bit too much, but I'll fall back in line now here behind Ed Perry. I believe that's going to put him about 14th. But for Dunning, if you come down pit road now, you're going to go a lap down. You're going to lose that set of tires compared to everybody else. So for him, I think he might want to stay out here, try to salvage what he can, especially with him being, just within our top 16 in the playoffs, trying to get as many points as he can here before the stage is over.
We'll see what his game plan is. It looks like you said, he's just going to stay out and ride it out right now, as we're going to look at Ed Perry in that Coors machine, old Bill Elliott machine. Awesome, nice-looking machine to see that machine out there tonight, as he is having a good run. He's running up in the 13th position, so he's having a good run. But, I moved up here while you were talking, but I have to give Justin Lewis right now, 77, a good shout-out, too. Running in 4th position, one of them drivers that are down in the playoffs. He is actually down in 15th position, tied with 11th through 16th. So right now, if he can get some stage, as we have a yellow flag out, we'll get back to that storyline later, as we have one of the playoff drivers, Christopher Howell, unfortunately having an incident here.
Yeah, Howell hit the inside wall. Not quite sure what happened to him here. We're going to take a look here on the replay. See Christopher Howell here coming out of turn number 2. He's got the '07 of Peel in front of him. We're going to see here if any contact made between those two. Yeah, it looks like Peel was getting tight and
Oh,
Howell just nowhere to go, runs up on the back of him and slides it down to the inside wall. And don't think he hit it too hard. A little bit of contact there, but don't think he hit it too hard. So for Howell, we'll have to see if he comes down, takes tires here, gets that damage fixed, or what his plan is here. But we're under our first caution of the night.
first caution here tonight at Darlington. But yeah, I think most of it is that I don't think he was expecting Peel to get tight and come up and hit that wall. And unfortunately, the time he realized that happened, he got into to the side of him, and unfortunately, he's the one that paid the piper of it. But right now, we'll see who's all going to be hitting pit road. We know Dunning in that 54. We knew he was going to hit pit road. He was struggling with something going on with that machine. So he's going to go down and see about getting that all worked out and fixed here tonight. But we are under our first yellow here with WSSR here at Darlington. So, well, it looks like no one's really pitting. Unless it's actually from 20th position on back. Looks like everybody just came down here. So you think that's a good strategy call? Because we are actually halfway through the first stage here, Trevor.
Yeah, I don't know if any of these drivers took tires or not. I know Dunning looked like he just was getting damage fixed. Probably the same for Peel and those guys. So, I mean, I feel like with them having that one less set of tires, that taking tires here really not going to be the play. But we've seen throughout the season, you get those cautions halfway through a stage, drivers take tires and try to drive back up and get those stage points. So I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of those guys took tires. But at the same time, you got to think about where you're going to be at the end of the race with that one less set of tires from everybody else.
Yeah, most definitely. As I'm looking at the scoring pylon right now and the ticker here, it looks like Christopher Howell just probably went in and got damage fixed. He had a 6.98 pit stop. But we got James Dunning down here. He took a 15-minute pit stop. We have Jonathan Caldwell. He also came down, took a 16-minute pit stop. And John Peel in that '07 had a 31.57 pit stop, which he was down getting all that damage fixed. But, well, looks like we're going to get ready to go back green here after that first yellow here, as they're going to get side by side and get ready to take off. Now, that first start of the race, Trevor, they all did really well and gave room and didn't have nothing happen. We'll see if they can replicate that again and do it again.
Yeah, I think these drivers learned from last week. You got to give a little bit of room, especially early in the race. I mean, we saw, I think, 6 cautions in our first 30 laps last week. So these drivers doing a really good job keeping it clean early on. Long way to go in this race. 200 laps tonight as we're getting ready for the restart here. The pace car's pulled off.
This car is off, and we're going to get ready as Brian Johnson and Vince Sor is going to lead the way here as we're back green here at WSSR here with Roasted Gen Cup Series. All right. Well, let's see how they make it through turn number 1 here, Trevor.
So far, so good. Vincent Sora with a great jump. Brian Johnson with a little bit of wheel spin. Cedric Hunter is going to clear the 77 of Justin Lewis. They're all going to get single file with our top 5. Lewis now going to actually take a look to the inside of Cedric Hunter. That's going to be a battle for third, but thinks better of it, falls back in line.
As they're battling up there for first, second, and third, they got a hard battle going back here for 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th as they're side by side, not giving no room. Aaron Collix down in the low line. Zach Hall is pushing that. Who is that? Richard. Yeah, he's pushing Richard down the back stretch or front stretch somewhere.
Yeah, Zach Hall gave a big shove there to the 86 of Rich Jameson, trying to get the 86 to move. Oh, Zach Hall gets loose off at turn number 2.
And he saves it. What a save.
What a save by the 42 of Zach Hall there. And what could have been a huge wreck on the back straightaway. Zach Hall manages to keep that car somehow out of the field, out of the inside wall. Lost a ton of time, but Robert, he kept that car clean somehow, some way.
I have no clue how that guy just saved it. He locked up the brakes, that left front locked up and blew smoke, and he was sideways, and then he almost went right up, towards the outside wall. Like you said, would have been just a disaster. But he kept it low and kept it out of everybody's way, and I got to give him props for that, man. What a save!
What a save! Lost a lot of time, but thankfully for Zach, a lot of race left to go for the 42 machine, and we know he's got speed, so expect to see him work his way back up through the field, especially having those 2 stage breaks is really going to help him out. But looking right now at the 21 of Rochelle as he's doing battle. Right behind him, Jamison, Tom Sinchek trying to move through the field after a little bit of a disappointing qualifying run. But Rochelle trying to find a way around Aaron Kralik, who's been battling with the 1 of Brandon Colley. But it looks like Colley's starting to clear the 01 machine and moving forward.
Yeah, we'll see what Rochelle can do here in that 21. He's up 3 positions here with the late Apex machine, trying to catch up to Aaron Kralik, like you said here. And it looks like, this first stage, I got to give these 25 laps into it. I got to give these guys a little bit of credit here. It just seems like everything's pretty calm right now. Something that we haven't seen for weeks. And, as we got Richard getting up into the wall in that 80 or whatever number he is, I do apologize because we're different paint schemes and I'm all lost.
Yeah, the 86 there of Jameson gets his Darlington stripe for the night.
Number 3?
Yeah. No, I think that's number 3. We probably got more than 3, but this 3rd one we've seen here tonight. But, it's so easy to do in 3 and 4 because you can carry so much speed, but then you've got to get on the brakes, get it slowed down for the center of the corner. And it's really easy to overdrive that cushion and get up into the outside wall. As 70 of Aaron Smith gets in a little bit of the outside wall there, gets himself a Darlington stripe as Stimpy in the 81 tries to go around the 70 machine. And looks like he's going to clear him.
Oh, man. Well, we're up to number 4 that we've seen. I wonder how many we can have that we're actually going to see. I know that's a hard number to call here. As well, there's number 5. Alex Light just hit the wall. Man, I think every car out there is going to have a Darlington stripe after tonight's event.
Yeah, I think at some point everybody's going to have that nice little black stripe down the side of their car. As the battle for 4th really heating up here behind the 28 of Brian Johnson. Cedric Hunter been able to clear the 28. And set sail, but right now, Justin Lewis, Steven Stimpy, and the 70 of Aaron Lewis, they're all stacked up on one another. And right behind them, contact between Aaron Kralik, and he's going around in turn number 2.
Oh, man, Clark's going around. Chuck Sweeney, looks like involved. We got another car going around. We have 2 cars going around.
Yeah, no caution as those cars spun to the apron there, and with how big the apron is here at Darlington, no caution there, but contact between the 01 of Aaron Kralik, I believe that's the 75 of Chuck Sweeney. I'm not quite sure. It might have been Rochelle as they all got stacked up in turn number 1. Sent the 75 around, but no caution for these guys as we continue racing.
Continue racing as we go up here and watch this battle for 10th, 11th, 8th, 9th, and all in this group here. These guys look almost into the outside wall, and then we got Peel ducking out of the way. And we are still single file, and we're watching Tom Sinchek back here in 9th position. And trying to work his way up through the field here and trying to see if he can do something with Aaron Kralik. But right now, it seems like from 10th on back, stage points, 10 laps to go. These guys know that if they're the drivers that are in the playoffs, every point counts.
Yeah, you've got, Aaron Kralik 8th, Sinchek 9th, Rochelle 10th, Bird right there in 11th in the 49. All these guys fighting for those stage points. One of them, here with 10 laps to go before the stage is over, he's going to lose out on at least one stage point here. But for Aaron Kralik, he's going to be happy right now, was able to save that car. I mean, he was pretty much wrecked in turn number 2, was able to save that. Lost, I think, 1 spot, able to keep it in the top 10. As I say, that gets into the outside wall there in
number 6.
Number 6 in the middle of turn 1 and 2 for Aaron Kralik. But keeping it straight, keeping ahead there of Sinchek, but looks like Bird trying to do something here with the 21 of Rochelle. They're going to have to fall back in lines, nowhere for the 49 to go yet as he stalks the 21 machine for the 10th place.
We got a battle going on up here with Aaron Smith and all these guys right here. Brandon Colley's going to be involved in there. Didn't have a great qualifying result that he was looking for, but he's trying to sneak his way into the top 5 here as we got Aaron Smith the second up here in the number 70 machine. And then we also got Justin Lewis still running in at least top 10, just outside the top 5. Still having a great run for him, but he's got Brandon Colley going to come up on him and see if he can do something with him.
Yeah, Colley trying to work his way through the field. And this is one of those tracks that, anytime I've ever watched a race or been in a race against Brandon Colley, at this track, he always has speed here. So I expect to see this one car continue to make his way through the field. But Justin Lewis in the 77, I mean, talk about a guy who last week wasn't for sure if he was in the playoffs until after the race was over, made a gutsy 2-tire call last week at Phoenix, got a 4th place finish, got himself into the playoffs, and right here battling it out, trying to stay within the top 5, within the top 10 to get stage points here in the first stage of the race.
Yeah, as Brandon Colley finally worked his way around him going down to turn number 3 and 4 here. And now he's going to have to hold off Aaron Kralik and that that 0-1 machine there, that tied machine, as I don't know what's going on right now with Justin Lewis, but he's really losing a lot of speed here, Trevor.
Maybe burned up those tires a little bit. I mean, we are 35 laps into a run here. We did have that one caution, but these drivers really feeling that tire wear as the 70 of Aaron Lewis gets a little loose off the corner. Vincent Sora got loose off of turn 2 a couple laps ago, our race leader, but right here for the 77 of Justin Lewis, I think he might just burn those tires up a little bit, dropping back here. Now he's under pressure from the 8 of Tom Sinchek, as this is going to be a battle for 8th place between these two drivers.
We'll watch this here in 8th position as Tom Sinchek now is going to look down on the low line. And I think he nailed the key right now here, Trevor, is 35 laps on the tires here. I think these tires are smoked. The ones that saved them. The ones that didn't, you can actually see the car. Probably from the looks that I'm seeing, a lot of these drivers are dealing with a lot of a plowing issue where that right front tire is probably burned up, smoke gone, and they're just trying to survive for the next 4 laps.
Yeah, it's so easy to burn the right front up here at Darlington. It's so easy to drive really hard into the corner and attack it. But at the same time, I mean, you're just doing so much damage to your tires. As now Lewis coming under more pressure from Rochelle is the 07 of Peel. I think Peel got tires. He pitted on that first caution. So the 07 with tires here, getting around the outside of the 49 of Ryan Bird. And that's going to keep Bird from getting playoff points here, as he's going to lose time to the 21 of Rochelle, who's trying now to get that extra stage point around the 77 of Justin. Oh, as Aaron Lewis spins it to the inside wall.
Well, I thought we were going to say some drivers had a tight condition, but it's not looking like it. You got some guys that are tight, and you got some guys that are loose, because that's amazing here now with 2 laps to go as we're watching the battle. And you can see Alex Light, man, look how he's just fighting that thing coming out of the turn.
Yeah, Light fighting that machine, trying to keep it straight as he tries to follow the 5 of Dakota Moniz. Moniz gets his Darlington stripe for the night, so chalk that one up to number 7. But Light with a good run here off of turn number 2 is, I think Aaron Lewis finally able to get that car going after he was trying to battle with the 28 of Brian Johnson. Got loose to his inside, spun it to the inside wall. But really seeing these drivers struggle is now we have the 9 of Ed Perry trying to look to get his way by the 97 of Light, who's lost a little bit of time to the 5 of Dakota Moniz.
Yeah, and Justin Lewis, we'll go back to him. He is really struggling. He was all the way up in 4th position. He's all the way back to 11th position. I think he got another stripe. I think that's number 8.
Yeah, Lewis into the wall here as we're coming to the white flag of the stage at 77, still falling through the field. Thankfully, within the top 10 here still, so it has a chance. Actually, no, I take that back. He just got passed by Ryan Bird, so outside of the top 10 for stage points and might lose another spot here as we're on the last lap of the stage.
Well, you know what? It's about stage points. That's out the window. He's struggling. He's not going to make it back up to Ryan Bird that's up 11 positions. He's struggling with something. So, with this last lap to go, if you're going to want to let Richard Jameson go, I wouldn't battle him, Trevor. I'd be like, what's one position? I got to make a pit stop anyways.
Yeah, just keep the car clean here, get to the end, get to the stage break as we are at our stage break. Looks like he's going to hold off Jameson there. But, yeah, for Lewis, I'm sure he's going to be happy to get his 4 fresh tires on that car and get back out there. Is our top 10 for the stage is going to be Vincent Sora getting the stage win here in stage number 1. Steven Stimpion's going to be 2nd. Cedric Hunter in 3rd. Brandon Colley 4th. Brian Johnson 5th. Tom Sinchek 6th. Aaron Kralik 7th. John Peel, after his early pit stop, drives his way up into 8th for some stage points. Kyle Rochelle and Ryan Bird are going to round out your top 10 for the stage.
All right, well, that's going to be your top 10 for the stage here, lap 42. The next stage is going to be lap 80 of this 200-lap race event. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back here after we're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for the rest of tonight's event. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back after that first stage, and wow, we seen some different Trevor in the playoff invocation that you seen under our commercial break.
Yeah, right before the stage, heard the 70 of Aaron Smith went around on the front stretch after battling with the 28 of Brian Johnson. Aaron Smith has called it a night and retired the 70 machine, so that's huge playoff implications for him as well. The 13 of Cedric Hunter, who is running inside our top 5. Pit road penalty for the 13 is going to put him all the way back in the back of the pack. And as I say that, as we cover that, Brian Johnson, after a great restart from Vincent Sora, able to get around the 15 machine and take over the race lead. So a lot of action here early on after this restart.
Yeah, most definitely. Watching Brian Johnson in the beginning of the race, at the start of it, he took off and led a couple laps, and then Vincent Sora worked his way back around here. But right now, the driver that I am keeping an eye on right now is that number 1 machine. You brought it up, Brandon Colley, up to 3rd position. Fourth position, up 8 positions, having a really solid run here tonight. And that number 1 machine and that whole crew, it's been a while, and they really need something good to happen here tonight, Trevor, to get the momentum back and understand that, hey, I can race these cars and I can finish a race in a good, stage.
Yeah, Colley's shown speed all season long, just, had some bad luck fall his way, and here tonight having a good run up 8 spots from where he started up to 4th. Probably saving a little bit of tire here in this run. He's got Tom Sinchek right behind him, Rochelle there in 6th, Aaron Kralik 7th. As those 4 drivers try to run in line here behind the 81 of Stimpy and the 15 of Vincent Sword, trying to run back down Brian Johnson. But like you said, for Colley, he's trying to have a good run here, show that he's got the speed and get some momentum here early in the playoff run.
Most definitely, as we look at Zach Hall here, he rebounded after doing that amazing save. He moved himself back up to 10th position here, right behind that Justin Lewis right there. I wonder what he learned in that number 77 machine. As we know, he burned off the tires there, Trevor, and fell back really far as the lights have turned on here at Darlington, and we're getting ready to go under the sun. Sun's about ready to leave us and go under the nighttime. So what does that do to the cars going from that transition from late afternoon, early evening to nighttime?
As the sun sets and it gets darker, the track's going to cool off a little bit, get a little bit more grip. Guys are going to have a little bit more corner speed, going to burn the tires up a little bit more if you're not careful with it. So for the guys like Justin Lewis, you hope that you learned, what you need to do to save some tires in that first stage, and you can apply it for the rest of the race. But track's going to speed up here, get a little bit more grip for these guys. And, we've seen some great racing already. And I think the racing's just going to get better as the sun continues to set here tonight.
That's what I'm starting to see here, too, as we look at John Peel in that 07 machine. He's looking really good. He's running right now 11th position, right behind Ryan Bird that's running in 10th position. So he's having a good run here. And we're seeing some drivers right now rebounding back as we're going to look here at Christopher in that 88 machine. He's having a good rebound after bumping into John Peel and sliding it down into the inside road wall. He is now running in 13th position.
Yeah, after that was our first caution of the race when Christopher Howell tried to get to the inside of Peel out of turn number 2. Peel got tight, had to back out of it, and that sent the 88 to the inside wall after a little bit of contact between those two. But Howell doing a great job recovering here, just outside the top 10, trying to find a way around the 5 of Dakota Moniz, who's having a great run for himself up in 12.
Yeah, as we see right now, Christopher Howell, look at that run that Cedric Hunter just got. And we were riding on the rear end of the number 88, and he got extremely tight going through 1 and 2. And that's what it looks like he's struggling here right now. It's still extremely tight with that car. So he's got some plowing position, but he's going to battle back and hold off Cedric Hunter as they go side by side through turn 1 and 2. Coming out, come down the backstretch, and now we got Chuck trying to work his way. He's going to help push Cedric Hunter past. And then we also got the 27 there, Jonathan, looking at with that Roasted Gen Cup coffee. Oh, as he going to give a love tap. And then we got Alex Light, too. Going to look almost into the 88. Man, that 88 is getting swarmed, Trevor.
Yeah, this has been a great battle here from 11th on back. And you talk about drivers trying to recover. Cedric Hunter, after a pit road penalty, working his way back through the field. The 75 of Sweeting after contact with, I believe it was Rochelle and The 0-1 of Aaron Kralik, when he got spun to the apron in turn number 1, he's recovering now up to 12th for himself. So just drivers trying to recover. Howell losing a little bit of ground. He's got light right there, the 54 right behind him of Dunning after he had hard contact with the outside wall trying to work his way back up through the field. And then Norris, we saw him really loose on the apron a couple times early in that first run, trying to make his way back through the field. So all the drivers down here were pretty much 13 on the back, all drivers who had some issues early on trying to recover from those issues.
Yeah, and we're riding along here with Christopher. That's a good point here, Trevor. But we're riding along with him, and I know you can't hear it as, well, make that number 8, probably number 10, Darlington stripe. But Christopher right now, that car is evil on him. You can see he is just struggling. I don't think he likes this track, and he's really off the gas and he's struggling really hard.
Yeah, Darlington's one of those tracks as a driver. It almost has that same feeling as a road course for some drivers. You either love it or you hate it. And it looks like Norris is on the hate side of this track tonight, just judging on how that car looks for him. But still doing a good job keeping it as clean as he can, just inside the top 20 for the 38 there of Christopher Norris.
All right, well, as we look back up here, we got Rochelle here running in 6th position here right now. Looking good. I got to give overall, we're going on lap number 60 here, and this race has been pretty mellow. I was expecting more of, and I think both of us, Trevor, were expecting, and you even said it, a little bit more carnage than what we've seen here tonight so far. So these guys either did a lot of practicing or they figured out what to do with this car here, but it's pretty great racing, but not hard racing. Like, there's not too many battles going on in the field right now. Is there a reason behind that, or do you think these guys are just being mellow?
I think they're just, kind of being mellow right now. It's kind of taking the super speedway approach to it. Hey, we've got 200 laps here. We got a long race. Let's not, tear up our stuff in the first 30 laps, 40 laps of this race. Let's, ride around and see what we can do. I mean, we've seen great hard racing, but no real, carnage. Almost saw a huge wreck with Zach Hallman. He did a great job saving that. But compared to last week at Phoenix, I mean, you think of Darlington as a much harder track to get around with how narrow it is. And all the carnage we saw at Phoenix, I thought we'd see more here tonight. But these drivers doing a great job here tonight as the battle for the lead starting to heat up between Vincent Sora and Brian Johnson. I
was just ready to say I just seen that on the ticker here as Vincent Sora now is going to finally work his way up through the field here, and he's going to start pressuring in at 28. But also what these guys are going to be looking at here too, Trevor, is lap traffic. These guys are going to have to deal with a little bit of dirty air, try to figure out where they want to go and place themselves, as the 86 is going to let the front runners go. As, wow, we got a 3-wide battle going on. Vincent Sora is trying to figure out where to take his teammate, as his teammate Brian Johnson, as Vincent Sora goes all the way down under the double dotted lines to hit him. And, lap traffic got in the way.
Yeah, Ed Perry make that number 11 as the 9 gets his Darlington stripe. Johnson with a great crossover move down the back straightaway, going to take it to the inside here. Vincent Sora down into turn number 3, going to get that clear drift back up in front of him after Sora used the 9 of Perry as a pick. For Johnson with a great drive off the corner, gets back around the 15, but all this battling is just bringing the 81 of Stevie and Stimpy in ever so closer to these top 2. And then not too far behind them, you're going to have the 8 of Sinchek, the 1 of Brandon Colley, who gets his Darlington stripe for the night. All trying to close in on our leaders as they continue to battle down the backstretch.
Yeah, and you can see what lap traffic did there. It bottlenecked up the field like a slinky. They got it all spread out, and then they started battling, and everybody's starting to, close back into each other as these guys are working. But Kyle Rochelle is all over that number 1 machine, and I don't know if Brandon Colley maybe burned up his tires a little bit. He's going to hold them off right now, and we'll see how he goes through turn 1 and 2 here and see if he can hold off. But, wow, he's got a car up in front of him going into the wall. I'm not exactly sure who that is. I do apologize, as it's different paint schemes. Oh, that's Tom Simchek that got the Darlington stripes. So what are we up to, 13 now?
Lucky number 13 for the Darlington stripes. There's Sinchek gets into the outside wall, and that's going to bring 1 of Colley, the 21 of Rochelle, the 0-1 of Aaron Kralik, all closer to the 8 machine. But up front, Johnson still trying to hold off the pressure from the 15 of Vincent Sora. as those two have it worked out now. But the battling here for fourth is starting to really heat up between Sinchek, Colley, Rochelle, Kralik.
You can see the damage on that 8 machine just a little bit as he scrapes the wall again. That doesn't count for number 2. He only hit it once. That's fine. We don't have to count it twice. We'll be up to 60 by the end of tonight's race here if we did that. But yeah, he's still running pretty smooth yet up here, up 11 positions here, running in 4th position right behind that Steven Stempian right now. But I'm trying to figure out, as Vincent Sora now, we just missed it, got around Brian Johnson. These two guys been swapping it back and forth, and Steven Stempian sitting in the background here going, keep it up, guys, because I am slowly closing the gap.
Yeah, Stempian was slowly closing in on Vincent Sora toward the end of the first stage there. But, you know, we saw last week for the first time, I think, all season, Sora looked vulnerable in the long run. Especially as the tires got hot and the track got looser. But right now, the 15 on the long run looking like he's made up and fixed those mistakes from last week, as now he's gotten back around his teammate Brian Johnson back to the lead. But Sora, after looking vulnerable last week, looking good here on the long run for himself, and Stimpy now closing the gap to the 28 of Brian Johnson.
Yeah, Brian Johnson's losing a little bit of time there to his teammate Vincent Sora as we're riding along here with Steven Stempian here going through turn 1 and 2. And right now, Steven Stempian is running the same lap time as Vincent Sora. As you see Vincent Sora slide up the track there a little bit, he's going to keep it out of the wall, and no one's going to gain any ground here. But, man, interesting race we got going on here as we're getting ready, getting closer and closer to that stage break on lap number 80.
Yeah, getting ready, coming to about 11 to go to that stage break. As, you know, everybody's kind of sorted themselves out a little bit further in the back. I think we have some battling there with Dakota Moniz, Cedric Hunter, Alex Light as they get caught up behind the 9 of Ed Perry. They're all battling for, I believe that's about 15th on back, as Cedric Hunter hasn't really made up a lot of ground, or as much ground as I'm sure he would have liked to after that pit road penalty that he got for himself. But you know, everybody looks like they've kind of spaced themselves out apart from the front 4, you know, drivers. Simchek are slowly closing in on that battle for the lead, but everybody doing a really good job here as we see Cedric Hunter get underneath the 5 of Dakota Moniz. Looks like he's going to get him cleared off of turn number 4.
Yeah, and you know, you were just talking about Cedric Hunter with that pit road penalty, and he fell all the way back here, and he is still battling back here for 15th position as he finally works his way around that 86 machine and the 5 and sets sails to get clear to catch up to these 54 and everybody else in front of him. From what I'm seeing here right now with these lap times here, these cars are running pretty equal all the way through the whole field until you get back to like into the top 20 here, where you see a little bit of a lap difference time. So, you know, any little error that you have on the track seems like you can't make it up. So that is something that we're going to have to side note here towards the end of the race here. You know, if we have a late break yellow or something like that, and they go in and they do a little bit of a pit road, you know, mistake. Oh, so what you see?
Contact between Colley and Rochelle. Rochelle still trying to save it out of turn number 4. Doesn't save it. He gets into the outside wall. Collects his Darlington stripe for the night. Maybe a little bit more damage for the 21 as he and Colley were battling it out for the 5th position there. I mean, Rochelle had that thing sideways, crossed up all the way through turn number 4, but doesn't look like he's got too much damage there. Is now Aaron Crawley going to try to find a way around Brandon Colley, and the guy that we talked about a lot there that faded away in stage number 1. Now here in stage number 2, the 77 of Justin Lewis doing a really good job saving his tires. Crawley gets really loose off of turn number 4.
Wow. Well, you know what? We're at that point of the time of the tires, Trevor. We've seen it in stage 1. Oh, as there's another Darlington stripe. You have just to hit it a little bit harder there, Aaron Crawley. But, you know, we're at that point where these tires now here are about, you know, 30 laps on them. And this is where we've seen guys struggling, getting loose, losing time. Darlington stripes hitting the wall. So this is the point of the time here where these guys are saying, man, I just need to make it for another 5 laps to stage 80 and get fresher tires. And then we'll have to see where it goes from there, because then after lap 80, wow, you know what? It's going to be a long stint to 200 laps here, and they're going to have to really figure out how far they want to push these tires.
Yeah, 120 laps after the second stage is over to the finish of this race. We were told a fuel run between 60, 68 laps. And the drivers, after this round of pit stops, only going to have 2 extra sets left to make it to the end of the race. You know, we touched on it earlier in the broadcast. The drivers thought they were going to have 5 sets of tires for tonight's race, only getting those 4 sets. So after this pit stop, a lot of these drivers, apart from I think the 07 of Peel, gonna have 2 sets left. I think Peel will only have the 1 set left for the rest of the race. So drivers gonna have to be cautious on what they do, how they run these cars, especially after this stage break.
Well,
as Rochelle gets into the wall.
Yeah, again, this is ready to say Rochelle just got into the wall there. But, you know, as we're getting ready to come to the next stage here, stage number 2 here, as the top 10 will get the points, as Ryan Bird is going to work his way up. Chuck Sweeney's finally going to make his way up to the top 10 here, and he's going to see if he can get another point and get around Ryan Bird. But that big stent that you just talked about, Trevor, you know, if you were a driver, well, you are. If you were out there, what would you think? Because will the tires hold for a 60 to 68 lap stent of fuel? Will the tires be able to extend that kind of run?
I think they should. It's not going to be comfortable by any means, especially when you hit lap 50 in a run. But I think a lot of these guys are going to try to make that, especially with, you know, only having 2 extra sets after the stage break. They're going to try to split this the last quote unquote stage in half and make it 60 laps and 60 laps. That way, if something happens late in the race, you still have a set of tires on the ground. But I wouldn't be surprised, Robert, if we see some guys, you know, try to 2-stop the last 120 laps and try to make up some time with, you know, how much quicker you'll be on fresh tires.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because fresh tires are always better than old, as we always know. But right now we're watching Brian Johnson struggle here in that 28. He's got short run speed. We can see that in the car. He takes off for the first 10 laps. He gets out there, and now he's starting to fall as we got Tom Sinchek ready to look to get underneath him as he's coming up on him. But Steven Stempian passed him. He is a second behind Vincent Sora, but right now, the show of the car right now is going to be Vincent Sora looking to win both stages here tonight at the WSSR Cup Series, brought to you by the Rosagen Cup. So, I don't know, man. I don't know if anybody's got anything for that 15 machine or not.
Yeah, Sora, I mean, he's looked so good on the long run. Look vulnerable in the short run is, you know, like you said, Johnson been able to get around him. I think Stempian might have something for him. He was slowly catching in there as we crossed the line for lap 81. No caution yet for the stage. Not sure. There it is as we waited for the 10th place car to get through. And Sora's going to sweep both stages. But, Robert, I don't know if anybody – I think Stempian might have something for him, but we're just going to have to wait and see.
Well, that's it. We're going to have to wait and see. As all right, ladies and gentlemen, here's going to be your top 10 here for stage number 2. Is going to go to Vincent Sora. Steven Stempian is going to round out in second position. Then you got Brian Johnson, Tom Sijek, Brandon Colley in 5th position. We got Aaron there in 6th. We got Justin Lewis. Good bounce back for him here after watching him, in stage number 1. Struggle a little bit and fell out of the top 10. He's going to finish in 7th position with Zach Hall with that big rebound finish in 8th position, get some stage points. And then we got Bird there in the 49 in 9th position with Chuck bouncing back too, finally getting some stage points in 10th position. So that rounds out your top 10 positions here tonight at WSSR. We'd like to say to everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button, share button, and that bell button to get all the notifications here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, as we are live 6 nights out of 7 nights a week here at Freaky Fat Broadcasting. But we will catch everybody back here after this commercial break. Stay tuned for the next final laps.
all the way. They're wrecking, they're splitting, and it's a complete mayhem.
We have a wreck at the front. 19 goes down into the 7, takes out the 00.
They're 5 wide behind for fifth. Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work, is it? They're already wrecking into turn 1, and now coming through that of turn 2. This is it, the Daytona. Oh no, they're wrecking contact. Sets gets into the wall. Gonna be scattering on the outside. Drivers on the apron. Drivers coming out of nowhere. Edison on the outside trying to get the win. And it's William Edison stealing it at the line.
Into the wall. The 18 trying to block. 77 to get into the 18. That leaves 3 of TJ Roberts. 17 to Gavin Rogers. 3 of TJ Roberts is gonna steal the win here.
Went second fiddle so many times last season. Christopher Wade wins the season 5 Daytona 200.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, as we've seen Vince Sora take off here after the stage break, and Brian Johnson's going to fall in second position. And, well, Trevor, here it goes. The long part of the race here. Who can save the tires? Who can make it to lap 60? That's all going to tell here on how hard they push these cars, how hard they want to push the cars, and who wants to save tires.
Yeah, pit strategy is going to be key here. 113 laps now to the end of this race. A long way to go. Vincent Sora shot out of a cannon on the restart, but like we've seen the previous couple of restarts, the 28, Brian Johnson closing back in on that 15 machine, and he's bringing company with him. We got the Ada Sinchek up to third, Stympian in fourth, Crawley, Zach Hall's up there now. So all these drivers, after riding in line for those first 80 laps, those 2 stages, I think now we're going to see the aggression level really ramp up for these guys.
And you can see the short run speed in that 28. He is all over Vincent Soros, his teammate here. But I wonder if he learned something with them first 2 stages and said, you know what, I got to figure out how to save these tires and get a long run speed. And right now, you know, we always talk about dirty air, and right now, as we look, well, I open my mouth too soon. He's going to look on the inside and say, I'm going to go around you, Vincent Sora. And you know what Vincent Sora's saying? Yeah, you know what? Go right ahead, Brian. You know, go past. I'll catch you in the next 10, 15 laps.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what Vincent Sora did. Lifted there, center of the corner, let the 28 go by. Was able to stay in front of the 8 of Tom Sinchek there. But Sinchek really starting to apply a little bit of pressure now to Vincent Sora. And if I'm Vincent Sora, I don't know if I want to fall any further behind Brian Johnson than I need to, knowing that you're going to run him back down here in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, and we just seen in the background there, somebody just got loose. It wasn't sure. I think it was Chuck in at number 75. Yeah, you can see he hit that wall outside. He just didn't get the Darlington stripe here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. He actually hit the wall pretty good, and it looks like it messed up that left side, right side of the car there pretty hard, as it looks like Trevor, unfortunately, another playoff driver heading to pit road early. Wow, what playoff implications that we got going on here right now.
Yeah, Darlington not being too nice on some of these playoff drivers. As Sweeting's going to bring it down pit road. It looks like he's going to call it a night for the 75. He, such a great recovery for himself after an earlier spin, and now it looks like the night is over here for the 75 machine.
As we bring up the point standings here in the playoffs here, right now we have Justin Lewis looking really good here tonight. We do know Carl Pollard did not make it here tonight. He did tell the admins that he wasn't going to be here tonight, Trevor, due to he is actually at the real race here NASCAR. So he went and actually got to see a real race. So unfortunately, that's going to be 3 drivers. We got Chuck, we got Aaron, and we also got Caller Pooler dropping out of the race. So this is going to look good for Aaron Krolick if he can have a good run. Justin Lewis and James Dunning, if these guys can at least finish tonight's race, doesn't matter where they're at, they're going to look good in the points, as that's going to shuffle them up to at least 11th, 12th, and 13th in points. And then it's going to depend on also what happens from 7th on through 10th position, as you got Rochelle there in 7th, we got Christopher, and in 8th, we got Richard Jamerson in 9th, and Ryan Bird having a great run in 10th position. So these points going into next week could be really shuffled.
Yeah, for those drivers, who are out, Aaron Smith, Sweeting, Polar, I mean, they're going to go into next week pretty much in a must-win situation to stay, in the playoffs for themselves. And even for Rochelle, really struggling in that 21 after the contact he had with Brandon Colley, hasn't really made any ground up, actually got really loose a couple laps ago, got into the outside wall, and for the 21 all the way back here in the 18th place, really struggling.
I can see, yeah. I do believe, what he's struggling with is that damage. He got some of the damage fixed, but you get that right front nose a little bit damaged, that's not going to help that car here. So he's out here struggling, like you said here. Alex Light up 2 positions here. He's having a decent run for himself in that number 97 machine. Just hanging out in the back here with John Pugh and all these guys. Oh, as we got something going on with Christopher Norris.
And Norris looks like caution's out. Not sure what.
Toe link.
Broke a toe link for the 30. Yeah, it looks like Norris. Yeah, it looks like he's got the broken toe link. Did a good job getting it back down to the apron. Almost came up in front of the 07 there of John Peel, but able to keep it down on the bottom. Not sure if he made contact with another driver or not, but or it's heavy damage for himself.
It's looking like Moniz maybe showing me that he was involved in something. Not exactly sure. As looks like, yeah, you can see Christopher Norris getting loose. Up into the wall he goes. Car swings back down, and oh man, he had nowhere to go, unfortunately, and then he slides it all the way down the front stretch across the start-finish line, locks it up, and T-bones into the wall, and man, that's not good.
Yeah, big damage there for the 5 of Dakota Moniz's Perry gets through there barely. I don't know how much damage he might have to the nose of that machine. He touched the wall there, but for Norris, hard contact with the outside wall. Looked like it broke the toe link, and once you break the toe link in these cars, they're really hard to control, and for Dakota, just nowhere for him to go. But this is going to stack everybody back up, Robert, and this is that time of the race where you get a caution, you stack everybody back up, that aggression level amps up as these laps take down. Even though we have, about 103 laps to go, this might be the area where cautions breed cautions.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do know that that is a possibility, and let's hope that doesn't happen. We'll have to see if it does or doesn't, but if we look at see what's going on here, as is the 4th caution of these guys, it's actually 2 cautions, for race incidents and 2 cautions for stage. But what's interesting is 18th, 19th, 20th, all these guys in the back half all came down and made pit road. Some of them probably just going down to get damage repaired. I don't believe anybody in the back there, like a Kyle Rochelle, Christopher Norris is in getting damage fixed. But Jonathan Coswell, he went in. Looks like he just took fuel. So some of these drivers are taking fuel, saving their set of tires there, Trevor, and trying to push it maybe 5 to 10 laps longer. When these guys here that did not pit are going to stay, on their tires, 60 laps on their tires, they go and make their pit stop. Some of these drivers might be thinking cold tires. Possibly, if I stay out an extra 10 laps, there could possibly be a yellow, and they leapfrog the field and gain track position.
Yeah, I mean, start your pit strategy now. If you're in the back, why not try something different? I mean, I think the pit window for these guys is going to be around lap 140, 145 for these guys to make it to the end of the race. And so, I mean, if you're in the back, like a Rich Jameson, James Hackworth, why not come in, take fuel, and see how far you can stretch it out, and see if you get that late race caution and get that track position and really shake things up for these playoff drivers if you're up there in the front.
Most definitely, as they're going to be on cold tires, and everybody's going to start here on cold tires as we're on our fourth yellow. So, you know what? If you're going to have cold tires and you feel cold, why don't you go over and head to our merch store? You'll be able to go over there and get some hoodies and T-shirts to stay warm here at Darlington, or stay warm in your house if your temperature's dropping, as we are getting into the winter season. So right now is the best time to buy some Freaky Fast merch. Go check us out. The link will be in chat. Hopefully Sam has that, and he'll post that in the chat. Go check out our merch at the storefront at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And stay warm, Trevor. Why not, right? I mean, cold tires, put on a sweatshirt with the Freaky Fast logo, and hopefully you can go fast. I know
Right?
that sounded stupid.
Hey, stay warm when you can. I mean, some parts of the country, it's getting to that time. I know for me, myself personally, I mean, we're still in the 70s.
All right.
Next week
enough.
next week we're supposed to get to the 50s, so I might have to go and order me one of those hoodies finally and break down, because it's getting to be hoodie weather. But for now, I'm gonna continue to enjoy my mid 70s.
You enjoy your mid-70s, as this is our last weekend for nice weather here too, up in the East Coast side of things in PA here this weekend. Trevor, been beautiful in the 68, 70 degree weather, but when Monday comes, hello, fall.
Yeah, it's that time. It is that time. So no better time to go out and get yourself a Freaky Fast hoodie. Stay warm for the winter coming up. Hey, maybe even get one as a Christmas present for friends and family as the pace car's pulled off. And Brian Johnson's going to lead us down here on this restart.
Oh, Brian Johnson, like you said, is going to lead us down with Vincent Sora second. We got Steven Stempy in there in third position with Tom Sinchek in fourth position. Brandon Colley in fifth. Zach Hall in sixth position. As green flag is out, we'll see what Brandon Colley can do here, as he's going to look down on the low line of Steven Stempy, and he's not going to get that run, and everybody's going to try to get single file coming out of turn number 2 here, heading down the backstretch.
Zach Hall got a good run there off of turn number 2. He's going to clear the one there of Brandon Colley. Colley got a little loose, and it's going to bring the 0-1 of Aaron Kralik to his outside. So that's going to be a battle for the 6th position. Kralik tries to find his way around, but Johnson got out to a good jump there, showing that short run speed the 28 still has over the 15 of Vincent Sora. But right behind them, you still got Sinchek, Stimpy, and Zach Hall now up to 5th after his miraculous save that he had early on in the race. So the 42 might be one to watch out for as this race continues.
Keep an eye on that 42 here right now as we ride along with Steven Stempy running in fourth position here with Zach Hall right behind him, as we are now under the darkness here on here at Darlington. The lights are shining bright on these beautiful cars, and we'll see what Steven Stempy can do. But I want to keep an eye on, as they go, Brian Johnson. You know, he has them short run speed that it looks like they're Trevor, and then we had that yellow. Tires cooled off, and he took back off again. And how long can he hold off his teammate of Vincent Sora until Vincent Sora finally gets then tires heated up? Now, I got a quick question to ask you there, Trevor. As Steppian's going to look underneath Tom Sinchek going down here into turn 1 and 2. How long does it take for these tires to warm up? 10 laps, 15 laps?
About, honestly, it's not that long. It's only about 3 or 4 laps that it really takes you to get heat into these tires. Same thing with the brakes with these next gen cars. Getting heat in the tires, getting heat in the brakes is so key to being able to go quickly around a racetrack. So I think here in the next lap or 2, the tires will finally be up to temperature, and then it's about keeping them from overheating. They don't wear as much as they used to in the Gen 6 cars. It's about keeping the tire heat down, and that's what really is getting some of these drivers, is they'll heat up the right rear too much. We'll see them get loose off the corner, or they'll heat up the right front too much, and that's what causes them to plow into the outside wall.
Correct. As we look at Justin Lewis is now going to look underneath Brandon Colley here. He's going to try to work his way back up to 7th position, but he falls back in line and says, nope, going to maybe a different time here, as we're all single file here, and as you were talking, Steven Stempien also had a lot of people right behind him. Tom Sinchek, Aaron Pollock, they almost got a run on him. And Zach Hall's going to look underneath Tom here for the 4th position, and he's going to try to clear him coming out of turn number 2. Still hasn't cleared him going down the backstretch. He's got Aaron Pollock now pushing Tom Sinchek. Brandon Colley says, well, I'll go to the low line. And then we got Justin Lewis trying to figure out if he wants to go high or low.
Yeah, this is a battle 4th on back to about 8th position. All these drivers stacked up on top of one another. Hall trying to get around the 8 there of Sinchek after he gave up that 3rd spot to the 81 of Steven Stempien. All these drivers now single filed back out for the time being with the 42, trying to find a way around Sinchek. And you got Aaron Kralik, who's quietly just been inside the top 10 all night long in that 01 machine, having a really good run for himself. And Colley now finds himself under pressure from the 77 of Justin Lewis, who decides to think better of that move and falls back in line.
That is twice now that Justin Lewis tried to do something to move on Brandon Colley, and he hasn't got it. So it's looking like there is no passing lane right now here, and these guys got to try to figure out where do they want to go. Where do you want to pass? Do you feel comfortable going into turn number 1 to make that pass, or do you feel comfortable going into number 3 and 4 and making that pass? And, you know, it's up to the drivers here where they feel more comfortable, because right now we're looking at Zach Hall. He looks really strong through 3 and 4. 1 and 2, he seems okay, but his strong point right now is 3 and 4 there.
Yeah, it's all about trying to set up the driver in front of you to make that move. You know, hope that he gets a little bit tight off the corner. You can get to his inside, but then when you're in the inside, it's so easy to get pinched down. And with these cars, with how they react, if you put too much wheel into it on the inside, it's really easy to get them upset, get them loose. So it's all about just trying to find that sweet spot, that setup spot to get around the driver in front of you. And that's what Zach Hall's trying to do here with the 8 of Sinchek. Just wait for the 8 to make a mistake so he can set up that pass to get around him.
Yeah, as we watch here, Tom Sinchek on the back, he's got Zach Hall hunting him down here in October as playoffs have started here at the WSSR. And like you said, you know, we're going to have drivers here that if they don't get the win, they got to go in next week. Some of them are going for the points, and some of them are going to be trying to, you know, must-win situation. Like you said, you got Carl Pooler, you got a couple of drivers that dropped out of here. I'm not sure what track we go to next week. I did not look at the schedule. I do apologize for that to everybody. But, man, you know, going into, you know, next week knowing that you battled all season to make the playoffs and it comes down to one race, you know, that you have to get the win. You have no choice. Points don't matter to get the win. That's a pretty heavy burden, Trevor, to carry to try to do with the toughness of this league.
Yeah, so next week we go off to Charlotte. So the you know, the mile and a half that is Charlotte, another track that's really can be tough on tires for these guys. And then we'll you know, eliminate, I believe it's down to 8 drivers after Charlotte. Then we go off to Atlanta and then Dover, and then our championship 4 at Chicago. So, you know, heading into next week, I mean, you're looking at Puller, Sweeting, Aaron Smith, you know, even, you know, Cogswell, who was down there in points. Those guys probably going to go into next week needing a win to get into our top 8 to stay in the playoff picture.
Yeah, to make the top 8. Well, my thing about, you know, going into Charlotte next week is that's a very well-known track, though, Trevor. It's free on the iRacing service. Everybody ran thousands of laps on that track. Yeah, maybe not with the car of what we're dealing with here in the next gen as Cedric Hunter gets around Brandon Colley there. But everybody's familiar with that track. So I'm assuming that we're going to see some great racing next week. And I believe anybody can win there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a track that, like you said, you race it basically from day one when you get on the iRacing service from a rookie license and the rookie street stocks, the pickup cup, you know, all the way up through ARCA, trucks, Xfinity to Cup Series. I mean, Charlotte's a staple of the service, so all these guys have a plethora of laps around there, should feel comfortable. But, I mean, the competition, Robert, here is just so tough. I mean, you've got Vincent Sora, who's dominated the season, Brian Johnson, you know, Zach Hall, who's shown great speed all season, Cedric Hunter, Brandon Colley. You know, it's going to be hard for those guys to get up there and get that win, but, you know, with that being said, the aggression level, I think next week with it being a cutoff race, I think we're going to see a lot of aggression next week, especially.
Most definitely, most definitely. And then, like you said, we go on to the next, top 8 go into the next 2 rounds, and then they got to fight that battle with the Atlanta and Dover. Whew. Go from concrete to a super speedway 1.5-mile track at Atlanta. That is crazy. But, we seen here on Freaky Fast just a couple weeks ago with Wicked Racing League, they ran these cars here at Chicago, which is our final race here at WSSR. And I got to give you, Trevor, watching that race, these cars drove very, very well there. And it was great battling to watch.
Yeah, Chicago's a really fun track in these cars. As Vincent Sora, Robert, has tracked back down Brian Johnson and gotten by him. It's a no surprise as the long run has continued here. He's been able to get around his teammate in the 28. But like you were touching on, Chicagoland, really fun track. Actually ran it not too long ago in a league of mine. Had a lot of fun there. And a lot of things you can do at that track strategy-wise. 2 tires works really well around that place. So that's going to be a great championship race for these guys with how racy that track is in this car.
Most definitely. I can't wait to get to that, which is a couple weeks out yet here. As like I noted on here, we are in October here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and we got playoffs all the way through to the end of the season as Wicked Racing League on Wednesday night is going to be starting their playoffs. That's going to be interesting to see who wins that championship. And then we're also here at WSSR. They're in their playoffs as they started here tonight. We'll see how that all rolls out that we've been talking about. Thursday night, Stars and Stripes, guess what? They're in their playoffs. They're knocking that season out here very shortly. And then also Monday night, they're in their playoffs. So, wow. I mean, we have playoffs. We're going to be crowning a champion almost every night, 6 nights out of 7. So it's going to be very interesting to see different championships, different drivers, different sponsors, different cars, different league. It's just going to be a fun time here in the next month or 2 here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be great with all the playoffs going on. And you got Full Send who's closing in on their playoffs. I believe they start the beginning of November. So they're wrapping up, getting ready to come to their playoffs. So, I mean, just the great racing action we're going to see 6 nights a week here at Freaky Fast is going to be fantastic, especially with, the playoffs being a key part through October. Looking forward to all of it as Vincent Sori continues to lead the way with Brian Johnson in 2nd, Steven Stimpy in 3rd, Sinchek 4th, and Zach Hall rounds out your top 5. And Johnson closed back in a little bit there on Vincent Sora, but now starting to lose a little bit of ground as we come to about 79 laps to go here in this race.
Yep, 79 laps, and right now it just looks like, again, this race just mellowed out. I mean, it's really not much action going on through the field here. If we go back through, we can see basically maybe Kyle Rochelle here is going to look underneath Christopher here. This is about the only battling that we got going on the track right now here for 15th, 16th, and 17th position.
Yeah, this little battle going on. Cedric Hunter had a little bit of battle with Zach Hall, but cleared that. But back here, I mean, Brian, you got Dakota Moniz after his contact with the 38 of Christopher Norris back up inside the top 15 for the 5 machine. And then Rochelle, who struggled all night long after some contact with Brandon Colley, up to 15th. And then right behind him, Christopher Howell trying to recover from his incident early on. But looks like struggles still continue for the 88 machine as he's got Cogswell looking behind him.
Yeah, we're running out of things to talk about. I'll be honest with you, man. It's just been a mellow race here, actually. And Justin Lewis in that 77 just hit that apron wrong. He saves it as Brandon Colley's now going to try to pounce on that little bit of a mistake.
Yeah, and Colley's kind of fallen back here in this run. Kind of surprised. Restarted up there in, I believe, the 5th position for that 1 machine and was battling there with Tom Simchek for a little bit. And is really just kind of fallen to the wayside here as this run continues. So I'm not sure if he burned his stuff up a little bit or maybe trying to save some and play the long game here for the 1 machine, but probably not showing the speed that he was earlier as Justin Lewis showing a little bit more speed in that 77 machine. I think he learned a lot there from that first stage as he takes a look and clears the 01 there of Aaron Kralik, move him up another spot to 7th place for the 77 machine as he looks really comfortable here on the long run compared to what he did early on in this race.
Yeah, it looks like he learned something there. He got a little bit of loose coming out of 4 there, but yeah, I mean, that was a nice power move going around Aaron Kolick as he gets the Darlington stripe again here in that 01 Titan machine. But yeah, I mean, Justin Lewis has been running up here in the top 7 all race long. You know, he had a struggle in that first stage. He burned off his tires. He fell outside the top 10. Kind of hurt him in the points. Stage 2, finishes in 7th. He rebounds back, learns something. And now we are on this long stint run here, and he's back up to 7th position. So like you said, I do believe he finally learned something. Probably saved a little bit of tires because he is now starting to hunt down that number 42 of Zach Hall that's running up here in 6th position.
Yeah, it's slowly closing in on Zach Hall, and I mean, just doing a really good job, and that's what it takes to be, you know, really competitive here in this league. You've got to learn from mistakes that you made week in, week out. Even during the course of a race, if you feel like you did something in the stage like Justin Lewis, like burning up your tires, you got to learn from that, figure out what you did, and he's doing a great job here tonight as Zach Hall gets his Darlington stripe for the evening. I think we're up to, 15 on Darlington stripes that we've seen. But Lewis is doing a great job in that car, closing in on Zach Hall, and then Stympian closing in a little bit on Brian Johnson. He was the fastest car a couple laps ago, but it looks like Sinchek in the 8, actually the fastest car last lap. But Stympian on this long run really starting to chase down the 28 machine, and he's done this the last 2 times before the stage breaks. And the 81 on the long run, I think, has equal speed to Vincent Sora, just doesn't have the short run speed that Brian Johnson and Vincent Sora has, so he loses a lot of ground to those two.
Well, that's it. He falls back and he gets caught up at the restart of the race. And, you know, we've seen this in the stage 1. We've seen it in stage 2, like you were just saying there, Trevor. So, you know, he's falling back. The problem is that what I'm seeing here tonight in this race here is that these cars are so equal in speed and lap times. It basically comes down to, again, I said it before, who saved the tires and who didn't burn up the tires, you know, and that's a key. As you can see, you know, the 81 cutting him down. So if we would have a yellow here come up here very shortly, Steven Stympian, in my eyes, he needs to stay within a half a second behind Vincent Sora to be able to have something for him by the end of the race, because falling way back like he does, 2 seconds behind, yeah, he's gaining time, but he's not gaining enough of time to make the difference of the time that he loses.
No, not at all. He was the fastest car on track that last lap. But, I mean, you look at our top 5, you look at their lap times, only about a half a tenth, you know, really between our top 5 drivers with how equal everybody is here. Stympian being the quickest that time by as Vincent Sora was getting around a little bit of lap traffic there. Tom Sinchek, the fastest car in our top 4 drivers as they navigate here the 25 machine. But yeah, I think you're right, Robert. If there's a late race caution or something, Stympian's really got to be aggressive on the restarts to have anything for Brian Johnson or Vincent Sora for that matter.
Right, and I do agree. As we look on the ticker here, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see the lap times that these guys are running here as they go past on lap number 132 of 200. And Vincent Sora put down a 31.6, Johnson a 31.6, Stympian 31.5. That's just not enough. And then you got Tom Sinchek a 31.3, and then your top 5 with Cedric Hunter a 31.4. So right now, like you said, Tom Sinchek in that number 8 machine back here running in 4th position, up 11 position. He is the fastest car out on the track here for the last at least 5 laps.
And Sinchek, you know, one of those drivers that always does a really good job, especially on the long runs and taking care of his stuff and not overdriving the car. The problem is, I think he's kind of in the same boat as Steven Stympian. I mean, they get to battling with each other in the short run. They lose that much time to the leaders, and it's just hard to make up for that unless there's mistakes on pit road, which, you know, we're closing into that pit window opening for these drivers. And Robert, we've seen it all season, not only here at WSSR, but in other leagues, of how treacherous green flag pit stops can be. And if you make a mistake, you know, it can cost you the race. We saw it at Michigan with these guys a couple of weeks ago. Vincent Sora had a dominant car there and had a pit road speeding penalty and took him out of contention to win the race. So with the green flag pit stops coming up, these guys got to be careful on how they get in and off the pit road.
Very true. As we got number 2 here, the second position here. As Steven Stepney is now going to finally work his way around Brian Johnson, and he's going to set sail and see if he has anything for Vincent Sora. But yeah, go back to what you were saying here, Trevor. Yeah, pit road is tough. Like you said, we've seen it at Michigan, and Vincent Sora got a pit road speeding penalty, took him out of that contention, and we could see that again here tonight. Maybe not from Vincent Sora, but Darlington is not an easy track to make a pit stop. You have to get that car low down. Going into pit road, it's very narrow, and pit road stays narrow all the way down through. And what makes pit road here very treacherous, that I do believe, and it's going to be on old tires, and making sure you got the heat built up in the brakes, is that as you're going in pit road, it's still in a radius turn. You're still turning as you're pitting. So that's tough on its own right there.
That it is, and we almost had some trouble back in the pack. I believe it was 86 of Rich Jameson got into the 77 of Justin Lewis in the middle of 1 and 2 a couple laps ago. Lewis did a great job saving it, but made some contact with the outside wall and dropped back from what I believe he was running about 8th. He's dropped all the way back to 12th for the 77 machine. So his good night has gone downhill. As I believe the 91 of Mark Morales is going to be the first car to come down pit road for some fresh tires, but just like that for Justin Lewis, you go from running inside the top 10, a little bit of contact sees you outside the top 10, and a good night goes bad for one of our playoff, or for another one of our playoff drivers here.
Ain't that something, man? But well, maybe he can get down and get a little bit of that damage fixed and get fresh tires on, and grind out a top 10 here and walk away and say, look, I did the best that I can. This is what I got. Don't overdrive the car. You race the track, you race the car, and what the car is going to give you. And a lot of drivers, don't do that in my eyes, Trevor. I'm not calling out drivers, but you got to race what the track gives you and what the car gives you, and don't push it any harder.
Yeah, you can't. Once you make a mistake, you can't overdrive yourself and make things worse and keep compounding mistakes. As we almost saw it up front, as I was watching the battle between Brian Johnson and Tom Sinchek. Johnson got his first Darlington stripe of the night. That allowed Sinchek to get by him, and when Sinchek collects his second Darlington stripe of the night shortly after that, almost allowed the 28 to get by him. But Johnson really starting to struggle on his old tires. It's going to allow Cedric Hunter in the 13 to work his way to his inside. Is back there behind Zach Hall. Looks like drivers bouncing off the wall. Looks like Rich Jameson bounced off the wall. And Ryan Bird and Dakota Manuizen towed behind them.
Yeah, well, I was just ready to say, as you're talking and looking up there at Brian Johnson hitting the wall, as that happened, Ryan Bird actually hit the wall too. He's struggling here with the Dakota Maniz really hard back here. But also keeping an eye on here, Zach Hall has not moved up. He is back here running in 8th position and hasn't really gained forward or backwards. Another playoff driver. Aaron Krolick's in the front here, another playoff driver. We got Richard Jameson, another playoff driver. So I'm telling you, Darlington is not an easy track, and these guys are trying to navigate here for another 60. As Zach Hall loose coming out of 4 there, sideways, and Richard Jameson's got to look underneath him. Now here's Zach Hall gets his Darlington stripe now.
Yeah, Hall into the wall. That was pretty heavy contact there for the 42, but Jameson doing a good job keeping it off of him and not making that contact any worse than what it was. But Zach Hall, I think he restarted up there near the top 5, and that 42 just really struggling on the long run. As you see the difference in speed there, the 91 Martin Morales on those fresh tires blowing right by the 86 there of Jameson, but nowhere to go to get around Zach Hall. And that's a good move there by Martin Morales, realizing where he's at in this race, who he's racing around, not making that he easily could have made, and being aggressive there, waits for an opportunity, gets by the 42, and I'm sure that's he's going to get a nice thank you note from Zach Hall in the mail after that move.
Well, not only that, he went down into turn 1 and 2, and with fresh tires, he literally drove that thing onto the apron. And there he does it again, coming out of 3 and 4. He's got fresh tires, he's got the grip, and he's putting the car where the car does not belong. Look at that. He's all the way down on the apron.
And I mean, it goes to show you how important fresh tires are here and what you can do with a race car once you get those tires. And for Martin, I think he might be one of those drivers that's trying this to stop this race to the end, and he's got to make up all the time he can while he's got fresh tires on these guys that are still staying out. Is we're now at lap 142 here, and we're getting closing in on those green flag pit stops for our leaders.
Hey, green flag pit stops is soon going to be opening up as Rich there is going to get by Zach Hall. And it looks like Zach Hall is going to fall back into the 9th position here. But what are you looking at roughly here? What lap do you think these guys should be making their pit stop here? Around 160, somewhere around there?
I'm thinking around 145, 7-ish, somewhere in there. Is Aaron Krolick's on pit road already. So there goes one of our drivers inside our top 10 coming down pit road for tires. And this might, bring in some of our other top 10 drivers down pit road with the 01 pitting, but we'll just have to wait and see as Vincent Soares stays out for another lap. And I think the rest of our top 10 here are going to stay out for another lap or two.
I will have to see when the top 10 decides to make their pit stop. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to our last commercial break here. And we will be back here to finish off tonight's event here at WSSR Cup Series, brought to you by Rosajan Coffee here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. So please stay tuned. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button, as we'll see what these guys do at the end of the race. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We will be right back.
No rear grip whatsoever. Up sideways. Sideways everywhere. Come on, man. You do what you can. The vibration in this car is the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Thank you for staying tuned here as we take a quick commercial break to pay the bills. But all right, well, we are on lap number 159 of 200 here, Trevor. These guys did come in, half this field. Looks like everybody made their pit stops between lap 152 and 144 as Aaron Kralik came in early on lap 144, and that's going to move him all the way up here into third position.
Yeah, and Kralik playing the undercut there, getting that track position up to third. Brian Johnson came in 149 up to second, trying to run down Vincent Sora, who was pretty much one of the last to pit of that lead group, hit it on lap 152. Was able to retain the lead, had a little bit of a moment there behind the 25 machine of James Kaufman there, and almost lost the lead to the 28 of Brian Johnson, but was able to drive back. Was able to pull back out to a half a second gap here to the 28 of Brian Johnson. But seeing that pit strategy work out for the 01 machine, that early pit stop. But question is he going to be able to hold off the hard charge that's going to come from the 81 of Stephen Stimpy and the 13 of Cedric Hunter?
That's going to be a good question to ask here, as we'll find out here in the next couple laps here, because, you know, difference in tires and everything. And we know what Stephen Stempian has underneath that hood of that 81 machine. He doesn't have the short run speed, but he does have the long run speed, and we'll see if he can catch up to Aaron there in that 01 and be able to move himself back up to third position where he's basically been running all night. But you got to give a big shout out to Cedric Hunter here in that number 13 machine. Yeah, you might not see the number on the side of the car, that smoky car, but good rebound for that 13. He was all the way back in, earlier stage number 2, around 15, 16, 17 position. And we talked about him falling back there after that pit road penalty, struggling to pass cars to get, move back up to where he was. But it took towards the end of the race, but he's finally there.
Yeah, it's just a perfect example of a driver being patient, not trying to get too much out of it when he doesn't need to. Slowly worked his way back up, had that mistake in stage 1. Was outside the points in stage number 2, but has worked his way up and found himself now in the top 5, right behind the 81 there of Stympian as they try to track down Aaron Kralik, Brian Johnson, and our leaders. But, here in the next couple laps, we haven't really touched on it much. We've seen it, a couple times, but Vincent Sora going to find himself in some lap traffic here as he tries to find a way around Martin Morales. Morales, one of the first cars to pit as he gets hard into the outside wall, and Johnson has to go around him. Aaron Kralik gets around him pretty cleanly, but Sora closing in on some of these guys in front of him that are going to put them a lap down, and that's going to allow the 28 to close up.
Yeah, you can also see Vincent Sora has some right front damage there too, Trevor, on this car, and just listening to him, he's actually shifting. That's something we didn't talk about either, and we're really paying attention all race. Is shifting a way to go here to get speed?
Yeah, so you can shift. I think mainly you're going to see it in 3 and 4, help get the car rotated, help get it drive off. As I say that, Soros shifts here in 1 and 2. Just helps car get rotated in the corner, gives you better drive off, carry a little bit more speed. So, something we didn't touch on early in this race, but you're definitely an option for these drivers. Some drivers comfortable with it, other drivers just choosing not to shift at all.
We'll see here. Not shifting saves gas. Can you save a lot of gas by not shifting? As we're watching Vincent Sora in 3 and 4, he's downshifting in the fourth gear, and then also coming out of turn number 4 there, he's upshifting and he's riding all the way around 1 and 2 in 5th gear. How much fuel can you save by doing that there, Trevor? Would that be something, strategy maybe some of these drivers can think of? I mean, they should be good to go for fuel by the end, but I guess I'm just trying to make talk now here.
Yeah, not going to save a lot of fuel by downshifting because you're keeping the RPMs up, you're keeping the momentum up in the race car. I think if you were trying to save fuel, you'd see these guys stay in 5th and just clutch it through the corner to save the fuel. But everybody, like you said, should be good on fuel there. But like you touched on, a little bit of damage there to the right front of Vincent Sora. It doesn't look like it's affecting him too much. As we see here, Sinchek trying to do battle with the 77 of Justin Lewis. It's going to be a battle for the 6th place position there. Sinchek to the inside, 1 and 2, running that bottom groove, going to clear the 77 off the corner. Lewis looks a little loose there for himself, as Lewis on older tires than that of Sinchek. So we're already starting to see the difference in those new and old tires just with this battle right here.
And you can see Lewis is struggling there in that 77 machine. But hey, I feel if that 77 can come out of here with the top 10, that's a victory for him. And move on to next week and see where he lies in the points and see if he moved up or down, which we do believe he should move up because we have 3 drivers, like we noted before, that are out of the race. So we have we're going to have at least 3 drivers going down and 3 drivers moving up in points.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it. Carl Puller not being able to be here tonight. Aaron Smith with his issues. Sweeting with his issues. Zach Hall all the way down there in 13th. Rochelle has done a nice job to recover after his rough night in 9th. So for Lewis, he's trying to maximize all the points you can for himself and doing a really good job of that here tonight.
Most definitely. And talking story here too right now here is that 42 machine, that mellow yellow paint scheme with different logos on it, as we've seen Alex Lake there get loose and smack the wall. So we're up to 600 million Darlington stripes. But Zach Hall, is kind of shocking to see him back here in 10th, 11th, 12th position battling with these guys. Normally he's up in the front runners. I'm not sure if he's not feeling comfortable tonight. I would have thought that this 42 machine would have been just a tick faster.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him have that huge moment, at turn number 2 early on in this race, and just really hasn't been the same for him since. I mean, we saw him get up there into the top 5 uh, during the stages, but really just struggled for himself. So maybe not feeling comfortable with how this car is driving around this track. But I like you, I would have expected Zach to be further up than where he is outside the top 10 currently.
Well, we'll see if he can recover, hopefully, and see as we got Martin Morale there getting out of the way here. We've seen Dunning. He just hit the wall again in that number 54 machine. That's going to slow him down, and that's going to help Zach Carl try to get to the back end of the bumper of him and move up another position and try to get up to at least 10th position here. Well, he passes Dunning, that put him in 11th, but then he's got to try to catch up to Ryan Bird. That's having a great run here tonight. Very strong driver. Wasn't sure if he was even going to have enough races, put in to make the playoffs. And then he struggled to get into the playoffs. And he's looking pretty good. This is one of them drivers that I would keep an eye out on through the rest of this playoff system here, Trevor. Be one of them spoiler underdog drivers that could possibly take a win, at Atlanta, possibility, and squeak his way into the Final Four of the championship. And there's also another driver that could, when we do go to Atlanta, we do know Christopher Norris won at Atlanta. So he could be a driver that could take a win away from somebody, which could shake up the point system where a driver can't get, that automatic win to advance to the next round.
Yeah, I mean, anything could happen here. Next week at Charlotte, I know Ryan's really quick around Charlotte, so I expect to see him up front. I mean, he showed a lot of speed, especially in the long run last week at Phoenix. Here tonight, not as quick as he was last night, but I think that just comes down to comfortability with the track for the 49 machine, but doing a good job here inside the top 10. And then, Atlanta, either way, I don't know if they've announced which version, if they're going to run the super speedway or old Atlanta, but either way, it is going to be the super speedway. So with that, anything can happen at that track with it being a super speedway. I mean, anything could happen there. We could have a surprise winner or maybe, somebody high up in the playoffs have issues there and really shake up the playoffs. You never know.
Most definitely. I mean, going to Atlanta, the new paved, we all know. We've seen it on iRacing. You said, you can see some of these drivers in the playoffs, way down, get a win, lock themselves in. Top guys could have a problem. But you know what else we could see at Atlanta? We could see carnage at Atlanta because that is a crazy track. That is a race that everybody out there is going to be a must tune in watch race because there is no forgiving at that track at the new Atlanta. These cars are all over each other, and it's like that. You can't get away from nobody at that track. I feel watching Atlanta race here in the iRacing service is worse than Daytona or Talladega.
Yeah, having just run there and just watching races there, there's no escape. Daytona, Talladega, you have room to get away from a wreck. Atlanta, there's no room to go anywhere. You are on top of one another. There's really no runoff room, and you have to be careful, on corner exit, especially on the front stretch with how the dog leg is set up there, that it's really easy to turn somebody, get somebody loose, and cause a big wreck. So Atlanta being in the playoffs with it being the super speedway, really going to be the wild card for these guys and what could happen here in the playoff run.
Most definitely. As we watch the battle now here, we got James Dunning. He's caught up there to Ryan Bird. Excuse me. Zach Hall has caught up to Dunning. He's going to be looking, trying to pass him on the underside here and try to catch Ryan Bird. So these guys here, back here for 10th, 11th position, they're all playoff drivers, and every position counts, and these guys know it here. They got to get every point to maximize their night. Because if you go into next week with not a good run or having a bad run here, you just put pressure on yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we go from 16 drivers this week to only 8 drivers in the playoffs after next week at Charlotte. So everybody trying to get as many points as he can. Zach dives it to the inside of Bird. Maybe a little bit of contact. Bird gets loose. Zach trying to make up that position to his inside here. The battle continues, and with how hard these guys are battling, there's a chance for a late race caution in this here tonight. But looks like Zach's gonna get that position clean here as Bird goes for the crossover out of turn number 2, gives him a little bit of shots in the bumper. Another little shot. Bird hits the wall. Dunning to the inside. That's going to allow Light to come up. More contact between Light and Bird. Dunning to the inside of Zach Hall. He's going to clear the 42. Hall puts Bird up into the wall a little bit. I mean, these guys beating and banging all over each other here for the top 10 spot.
Guys, there's still 20 laps to go. There, man. I think Ryan Bird got a little upset there with Zach Hall. The way Zach Hall kind of got into the rear end of him there. Not on purpose. It didn't look like on our end. But Ryan Bird retaliated back a little bit and gave him a love shot going through 1 and 2. But no yellow, no harm, no foul. They move on. Zach Hall moves himself up to 10th position now. Unfortunately, out of that whole sequence, Ryan Bird's going to fall outside the top 10, back to 12th with Alex Light falling behind him. But you know who else is battling back here and having a good run right now is going to be that back here, Jonathan Coswell is actually having a decent run, even though he's going to get lapped by the leader, Vincent Sora. He is running in 15th position there, Trevor.
Yeah, inside the top 15 for Coswell, having a really, essentially a quiet night for himself, but doing what he needs to do, having a good run here and keeping it clean. I haven't really seen him be involved in really anything all night, so that's a good thing for the 27 machine. Looks like the 5 of Dakota Moniz is going to pull over for a race leader, Vincent Sora. And so that's going to leave us 13 cars on the lead lap, with Alexander Light being the last car on the lead lap.
Well, if we're going to see a yellow, it's going to happen between these guys right here, because Ryan Bird, Alex Light, and Moniz are all battling back here, as this is for a position for 12th through 13th position here. These guys are not giving up, as we see him down that apron again. He found something down there. Is there like a sticky glue or something down there?
No, so not really, but Martin just came in and took his last set of tires, so that two-stop strategy to the end of the race not really working out well for the 91 machine, but you can definitely see that he's much quicker than these two as Light and Bird keep battling hard, and right behind them you've got the I think that's the 85 right behind them, closing in on them, and our race leaders right there as well, as those two continue to battle. So I mean, Vincent Sora finding himself here in some lap traffic as Bird and Light continue to battle hard with one another.
I will have to see how Vincent Sora navigates through this field here, because he's got Rich right in front of him here in that 86 Hooters machine, and then you can see right up in front of him as he's going to look down here going into turn number 3 and 4 here. Now he's got Ryan Bird and he's got Alex Light right in front of him, and we know if these two get side by side, they were not going to give any room for that leader, because they are fighting to stay on the lead lap here. And this is key if we get a late yellow with about 12 laps to go here, Trevor. You got to stay on the lead lap. You don't want to fall a lap down unless you are that one driver that's a lucky dog. But you don't want to play that chance, because then these guys got to catch up to Zach Hall, and if Zach goes a lap down, then that throws their window out of the stage, as looks like Vincent Sora's going to look down up underneath both of these guys. They're going to let them go, and looks like he's going to be able to clear them possibly okay.
Yeah, Zach Hall gets by there. Light gives a little bit of a bump, another little bump to the back bumper of the 49 of Bird. There's Moniz now. That allows Moniz to come into this battle. I mean, this is a battle from 12th to 14th. Those three battling hard with one another, but thankfully for Vincent Sora and all that, had a pretty decent gap. Didn't lose a lot of time to those two, to the 81 there of Stimpy, and as Sora is just setting a blistering pace here tonight, especially on the long run. That 15 machine has been untouchable. He's got a 5.5 second gap back to Steven Stympian, and then now only leaving 11 cars left on the lead lap here tonight.
Not only that, on this long run, Vincent Sora over Steven Stympian. He's a 2/10 faster per lap right now on the same set of tires, basically. He went on lap 52, so 2 laps difference on tires I don't think makes too much of a difference, but he's a 1/10 to 2/10 faster than Steven Stympian. Now, is Steven Stympian, it might be 5 seconds behind but he's not dealing with any traffic. I just wanted to go back and make sure that, he wasn't dealing with traffic. He's got a smooth sailing, but he's got Tom Simchek. Oh, no, that's the 88 that he got by. I do apologize. Almost the same paint scheme there. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't believe Steven Stempien has anything for Vincent Sora here as we got 3 laps to go, but looks like Cedric Hunter's going to get around Brian Johnson here, or he's going to at least try coming through 3 and 4 here with 9 laps to go.
Yeah, 9 to go. Oh, is Johnson big wiggle out of the 28 machine out of turn number 4. And it's that time of the race where we've seen it, all race long, the 28 really starts to struggle, and that allows Cedric Hunter to get back up around him into our top 3. Now he's going to try to track down the 81 of Steven Stempien is right in front of him. Ed Perry has a little bit of a moment down the backstretch, but pulls out of the way of our leaders. So, overall tonight, I mean, really clean, hard racing between everybody. All the lap traffic's been really nice to our leaders. And, I mean, everybody's been overly nice, apparently, to each other tonight compared to what we saw last week, Robert.
I was ready to say, either these guys got on Discord and apologized to everybody, or they realize it's a playoff system and they're just minding their P's and Q's. I just got a funny feeling we have a calm race here tonight. I don't think we're going to have a calm race next week, I'll be honest with you, Trevor. I think next week you're going to have that cutoff round like we were talking about all night, and I just got a funny feeling that it's going to heat up next week.
Yeah, I don't think next week's going to be anywhere near as calm as this is. Light gives another bump to Bird as that battle for 12th still is just hot and heavily contested as Moniz now tries to get around Alexander Light. But yeah, next week with it being a cutoff race, there is no room to play nice with one another, give each other space, especially if you're down there in the bottom 8 in points. You've got to make up everything that you can to try to stay alive in the playoffs. And next week's going to be a hotly contested race for these guys as Sora now continues to pull that gap 6 seconds over Steven Stempien. Cedric Hunter runs 3rd, Brian Johnson 4th, Simchek your top 5 here with 6 laps to go as Moniz makes that pass around Alexander Light for the 13th position.
That helps Moniz in the playoff. No, he is not a playoff driver. I do apologize. But yeah, with Vincent Sora just pulling away from the whole field here, he's just saying 5 laps to go, gentlemen. We made it this far here with no yellow. Let's just finish off this race. But right now, these tires are worn. They're gone. They're slippy, and you can see these guys just struggling to hold on to the car as Moniz got up into the wall or got loose, and Alex Light just got a huge run on him.
Yeah, and then up front, big moment for the 81 of Stempien is the 27 of Cogswell got into the outside wall out of turn number 2 and almost got into the side of the 81 there, Stempien. And like you touched on, Robert, this is the longest these guys have been on a set of tires all night long. Really starting to feel the effects of it. You can really see it with these cars dancing around on corner exit.
You watch here with 4 laps to go as he's starting to hone down here on the next 2 cars, and we'll see if he decides to make that pass on James Dunning, Zach Hall, Kyle Rochelle, all up here. I don't know if I was Vincent Sora though, Trevor, I would just back off my pace. You got a 7-second lead. There's no reason to go past these guys in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, for Sora, he can just cruise right now. 3 laps to go here, coming to 2 to go at the line as they work their way through 3 and 4. He's got Dunning right there, Zach Hall, the 21 of Kyle Rochelle, who's kind of fallen back into the clutches here of Zach and Dunning. But like you said, Sora doesn't really need to be aggressive here. He can just kind of ride behind these guys as he's got that 7-second gap back to Stempien and real no pressure from behind. But got to be careful here with these guys battling in front of him. Right there's contacts made between Rochelle and Hall, and that's going to bring out a caution. No caution.
No caution yet. That should trigger a caution, and there it is. The yellow flag is out. The 5th caution, and you were just noting on it, Trevor. And we didn't want to see it, and this changes everything, ladies and gentlemen. For the 5th yellow here tonight at WSSR here at Darlington Throwback Series night, the Crown Jewel event, 200 laps. Oh my God, I don't even know what to say. Some of these drivers, do you make a pit stop? I mean, some of these drivers got a set of tires left. Some don't, some do.
You've got 10 cars on the lead lap here. I think if you don't come and take tires, you are going to be a sitting duck. And for Steven Stimpian here, you've got to figure out how to be fast on a short run to make your way around Vincent Sora. For Vincent Sora, you got to take a deep breath. I mean, you just saw a wreck happen right in front of you. Your chances of winning a race that you have dominated flashed right before your eyes. And so you got to take a deep breath, regather yourself, and set back up for this restart, as it looks like Sora, Stimpian, Hunter, Johnson, Sinchek all down pit road. We'll have to wait and see if any of our top 10 drivers decide to stay out and maybe
Holly.
spice this up. Is you're right, Brandon Cawley stays out on the racetrack, and that's going to make this restart really interesting
Now,
once we get back to it.
flashback, ladies and gentlemen. Do we remember what happened last week, Trevor, when Collie stayed out on 2 tires and Vincent Sora was behind him?
There was a little bit of contact made. There's no love lost between those two drivers. I mean, it goes all the way back to week 1, the green flag or the green-white checkered we had at Las Vegas when Collie gave Sora a shot that allowed Cedric Hunter to get by and win that race after Sora dominated that one. So here we are again, and especially after, like you said last week, the contact between the 15 and the 9, or the 15 and the 1. Here we go again, and Collie's not going to make this easy on Vincent Sora at all.
I don't think so either there, sir. That's funny. Galvin Rogers out there in YouTube chat, I just happened to look over at my chat excuse me, my chat box, and he was thinking the same thing I was in my mind. Remember last week. Man, this is going to be interesting to see what's going to happen here. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm telling you, I don't think Brandon Colley is going to be so nice. But how aggressive does Vincent Sora be? Because we noted on this, he dominated the whole race, right? Okay, so now he's got to figure out, okay, I don't want to do what I did last week. Yeah, no love lost between them guys. They all worked it out by the end of the race, which is shockingly to me that I would have been a little bit more upset if I was Colley, but that's just me thinking outside the box. We talked about Steven Stimpian. Steven Stimpian must get a good jump. He must be aggressive, all right? I mean, it showed that all night. We got Cedric Hunter running in 4th position. What's he decide to do? Does he be aggressive? We got Brian Johnson running in 5th position. He's got short run speed. We got Tom Sinchek running in 6th position. He's been fast all night. So the top 6, man, I don't know what to say. I mean, literally, this could be great racing, ladies and gentlemen, or this could just turn into carnage.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to what line does Brandon Colley take on the restart. Does he go to the bottom? If so, that's going to hurt the 81 of Steven Stimpian. Does he take the top? If he does that, it's going to hurt the 13 of Cedric Hunter. And it looks like he's going to take the bottom on this restart. So he's got to get a good restart here, clear the 15, and then make that car as wide as possible. And I don't think Sora is going to be afraid to use the bumper if he needs to. I mean, we saw it last week. He said it was incidental. They worked it out, allegedly. But words are one thing, racing actions are another. And so we're going to have to wait and see here as we're going to get the 1-to-go signal here coming to the line. And Robert, this shaked up everything. You've got Johnson, who's been the quickest car by far all night on the short run. He's going to restart in 5th. And these guys are going to be aggressive. I mean, we've got, I believe, 14 cars on the lead lap. And right now, anybody could theoretically win this race if there's carnage up front.
Well, that, and we got, 3 attempts at a green-white checkered, so we'll have to see how this all plays out here, ladies and gentlemen, as we're getting ready to go back green with 3 laps to go. This is going to be, I do believe, the first attempt it is, so here we go. We're going to see what these guys can do. And great run. Oh, and Colley does spin the tires, but, Steven Stimpian, and Colley gets out of the way. I think that was a great, bold move from the 1.
Yeah, Colley tried it, spun the tires, does the smart thing, pulls out of the way. Stimpian got checked up a little bit. That allows Cedric Hunter to get his hard contact. Stepien spins it around. Sinchek got to the wall. Brian Johnson involved. The 42, Zach Hall involved. Hard contact down the back straightaway. We re-rack him. We do it again, but playoff drivers with heavy damage after that wreck.
Oh my God. Well, we'll have to go back on the replay and see what exactly happened. I'm not exactly sure where that started. I've seen somebody bounce off the wall. I don't know who it was.
I think we had 3 different wrecks. Stepien was already loose at turn 2. Sinchek hits the wall on the outside. Stepien loses it, overcorrects. I think he's going to collect the 28 of Brian Johnson. And then it's going to come up and collect the 42 of Zach Hall, who has nowhere to go. Aaron Krolick's going to sneak through this wreck barely, along with the 54 of Dunning gets through it, but heavy contact there. Oh, Justin Lewis.
Yeah,
He
and
bounces
Ryan
off
Bird.
the wall.
Who
Catches
else is back there? Steven Stempien's hit, though. Christopher, I think we have every single driver that's in the playoffs. Oh, here comes Ryan Bird. T-bones. Oh, man.
Bird, nowhere to go as Zach Hall slides down the... So, okay, we had Ryan Bird, Brian Johnson, Zach Hall, Justin Lewis involved, Steven Stempien involved. I believe the 91 of Martin Morales was involved in that wreck as well. Carnage down the backstretch here at Darlington on the first attempt of the green-white checkered. And we re-rack it. We do it again, but that just took out the fastest car in the long run, the fastest car in the short run that we've seen all... I'm sorry, that took out the second fastest car in the long run in Steven Stempien. The fastest car in the long run in Brian Johnson. Hard contact for Zach Hall, who had fought all night to get back up into the top 10 after his issues early on in the race. Justin Lewis with contact after he's been running inside the top 10 all race long. So I mean, there's 3 playoff drivers right there. We know Brian Johnson, Zach Hall have heavy damage for the 49 of Bird. I mean, playoff drivers, thankfully, with had that long green flag run, I think they're going to be able to stay on the lead lap, so it won't be as bad for those drivers, but damage for them. And we got to re-rack it, do it all again, Robert.
I'm lost for words. Like you said, all them drivers that are involved into this, basically were all playoff drivers. The only one that didn't get involved in any of this was Cedric Hunter and Vincent Sora. The rest of it is playoff drivers. We have Kyle Rochelle, Brandon Colley. I'm not sure if he made that through there or not. Christopher in the 88. Who else we got? Zach Hall, Brian Johnson, Ryan Bird. Oh my God! Like the top 16 all got wrecked. Justin Lewis was involved into that. Did James Dunning even make it through?
Yeah, Dunning and Krolick made it through. Cedric Hunter, I'm sorry. Sinchek bounced off the wall that forced Johnson and Zach Hall down into Steven Stempien spinning. Lewis bounced off the wall, I believe, into the 91 of Martin Morales trying to get woed up. So the top 2, we know Vincent Sora has damage from hitting the wall at one point. I don't know if Cedric Hunter has damage. We know Sinchek's bounced off the wall a couple of times. Krolick has gotten his Darlington stripe. Dunning's gotten his Darlington stripe. Lewis has. Johnson's still up there in 7th. He's lost 2 positions, but he doesn't look any worse for wear, apart from maybe some nose damage. We know Ryan Bird has heavy nose damage in the 49 after hard contact with the 42 of Zach Hall. Brandon Colley just came in and got fresh tires. He's going to restart 11th. We're coming to the green flag here in a second. I don't know what else to say. I'm excited for the second green flag or green white checkered. This race got flipped over on its heels. We saw that. I mean, Vincent Sora was a half a track away from a dominant win here. Got a good restart. Now he's got to do it all over again, but this time he's got the 13 to Cedric Hunter, who has slowly become one of the faster cars throughout the night. So he's got to worry about that. Aaron Krolick, we know he can be aggressive when he needs to be in the 01's going to restart right behind him. Sinchek, not sure how hurt that machine is going to be. He's going to restart 4th. Justin Lewis is there in 5th with some damage. Dunning, who's been quiet all night inside the top 10, is now going to restart 6th. The pace car's pulling off. We're getting ready to restart this race. Vincent Sora is going to bring us to the green flag here in a second as we get ready to hit the restart zone here. Sora creeping in the restart zone. Now goes with a great push from the 01 of Aaron Kralik. Cedric Hunter with a little bit of a slow start. They're going to be side by side. This is just what Vincent Sora wants to see. But Kralik being aggressive. Cedric Hunter trying to clear the 01. He's going to do that. Justin Lewis to the outside of the 8 of Sinchek. Sinchek, he's going to get that cleared. Sinchek gets loose, gets into the outside wall. Dunning battling with Bird, but up front, Sora trying to run away from the 13 of Cedric Hunter. Hunter drives it in deep, not going to get to the rear bumper. We're coming to the white flag. The next flag will end it. Vincent Sora, the white flag. Kralik now going to try to attack the 13 of Cedric Hunter. Hunter throws a block. Not going to have anything doing there. Cedric Hunter running out of time to get around the 15 of Vincent Sora. Not going to be anything doing off of turn number 2 down the backstretch. Looks like Sora is going to walk away here through 3 and 4 as long as he doesn't make a mistake. Cedric drives it in again, but not close enough to do anything. Vincent Sora out of turn number 4 is going to win the first playoff race here at Darlington. And what a race that was. Cedric Hunter will come home second. Aaron Kralik third, Justin Lewis fourth, and Tom Sinchek will round out our top 5.
Wow. What I was afraid they weren't going to make that second restart, and they did. They made it through it, but man, what carnage on that first green-white checkered there. But hey, guess what? Justin Lewis, fourth. That is a big leap for that driver in the playoffs, being down below the standings there. But congratulations to Vincent Sora. He was dominating here tonight for the whole race here at WSSR Roasted Jan Cup Series, and he's going to bring home the victory, lock his way in. He doesn't have to worry about next week's race, as it's done. It's over. He doesn't have to worry about it until we get to the next round of 8. He locks himself into the top 8. So congratulations to Vincent Sora. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back very shortly here as we gather up all our stuff, all our interview stuff for a post-race interview here with these guys here for the top 3 of Vincent Sora, Cedric Hunter, and Aaron Kralik. We will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here ready for our post-race interview as we see the third place finisher here of Aaron Krolick. We will be bringing him up here very shortly for our post-race interview here and see how his race all went here. Aaron, Robert up here in the booth. How you doing there, sir?
Oh, ecstatic, man. Ecstatic.
Well, give us a rundown of tonight's event here, man. It was a great race. It was for you and just basically everybody out there was pretty mellow, pretty calm until we got to the end of that green white checker there, the first attempt. And give us a rundown of what you seen out there.
Oh yeah, no, like you said, it was mellow all night long. I had a few scrapes here and there, but you know what? It's Darlington, it's tight racing. But we knew it was 200 laps, and bravo to everyone who was clean, who was fighting hard. But it was mainly it's just all about saving tire out there, and I was at it. I really felt it later in the run, but no, that race, man, it was breathtaking, and I'm really surprised they got this top three, got this podium. I'm happy for it.
Aaron, I think you came into the playoffs, outside the top 10 in points. We go into Charlotte next week, top 8 advance. Third place finish is going to be great. I mean, especially for you in the playoff points. I mean, how are you feeling heading into Charlotte with it being a cutoff race? I mean, what are your thoughts going into next week?
Oh, mainly, I'm gonna have to see what the points look like, but I'm mainly just going to show up, get some stage points. I got 2 stage points tonight, so that will help out a lot. But yeah, as you said, that third place finish. So yeah, I'll see how everything looks. Who I need to race around? Who I need to go hard against? Who I need to just let by? It's fine. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Charlotte. I like that track. It's fun.
All right. Well, hey, man, what a great run here. It was mellow, like you said. Congratulations on getting that third place finish here tonight. But with that being said, before we head out of here, is there anybody you would like to give a shout out, give some lovin's to, or give shout outs to your sponsors?
Oh yeah. Excuse me. I like to thank my teammates in the league, Vincent and Brian. They give a hell of a lot of info. Sorry, um, but it does suck for Brian that happened to him. I'd like to shout out you guys for the amazing production week in week out, and I'd like to thank the admins of the league and other drivers. Man, it's a pleasure showing up here week in and week out.
Well, it's a pleasure having you out on the track in that Tide machine. One of the paint schemes of Throwback Night that I personally enjoy. You can ask anybody that knows me. I'm a big Tide guy of Darrell Waltrip. So thank you for running that scheme, though, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Uh,
sir. It was clean through and through.
There you go. There you go. All right. That's the way to do it. Clean. You don't have to throw it in the washer. There's a special cold rinse now. Whatever. Anyways, congratulations. And we will catch you next week at Charlotte.
Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be your third place finisher there, Aaron Crowley. Great throwback scheme he has there in that 01. But with that being said, we're going to move up here to second place here and bring up Cedric Hunter and see how his second place race and how that all went here. As Cedric, Robert up here in the booth, how you doing there, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Came up a spot short, but good finish all in all.
You know, you're the second one that now Aaron came up here. You're the second one that came up here in the booth with a big, okay, give us a rundown of, you had that penalty. It put you back in the field. You're struggling to try to get back up front, but you're patient. You worked your way up through. What was your strategy call after you got nailed with that pit road penalty?
Well, I felt like I was at least in the first row before the penalty. I had like good pace, but I didn't have as good of pace as like my teammate Steven Stimpian and then Brandon Colley. Like they were both super fast on long runs, like even faster than I was, and kind of ask questions, try and figure out how I can adjust and get better on the long runs. And I felt like I did a pretty good job. And unfortunately, got tagged with then a speeding penalty and having to go back to the rear, battling myself up to 11th, then almost wrecking off a 4, dropping back to 20th, and driving back up to 12th to finish off stage 2. I just felt like if I can get back into like the top 5, top 3 position, then I can at least compete for possibly a win, but a podium for sure. And We managed to get back up to third. We had pretty good pace. Unfortunately, I have no idea what Vinny was doing. It kind of seems to be the tail of the season where he is just on another level with these cars. He has it figured out. He was able to yard us 2 seconds on the short run and then just never fall off. So, and that kind of, it just happened every single run. And so with the mistakes and getting loose, and then lap traffic was brutal tonight. I know that this track for the most part is a one groove racetrack, but my God, it was terrible passing lappers. So obviously that cost us time, and he just had a really big lead. Kasha came out, short run pace not great. Tried to do something there. I told Vinny, I told my teammates first. I was like, if I get to him, he's won enough this season. I'm going to sail him into a corner, and I'm gonna take the win. Like I need to log myself into the next round, and he already has enough points. I don't really care. Unfortunately, he just had that half-second gap, and we can get it done. But I think that would have been a really cool finish if I could have gone there and done that.
Yeah, Cedric, I mean, great run, great recovery for yourself, especially with how hard it was to get around here tonight and with how the cars reacted, especially on the older tires. But come out of here with a P2. I know a little bit disappointed in that being the one position short, but you go into Charlotte next week. You got to be feeling pretty good about that with how you sit in the points, especially with Charlotte being the cutoff race. I mean, you got to feel pretty good about yourself and feel pretty safe going into Charlotte next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we finished decent in the first stage. I think we finished third, so we got like 7 points there. Plus, obviously, finishing second tonight. I got some good points. Charlotte's a really good track for me. I could definitely get another podium there. I feel confident in myself to be able to do that. It's just going to be a matter of not getting wrecked. I mean, we saw last time we were here last season, which the car honestly drives about the same still. Guys that have short run pace are going to push really, really hard and get up front, and they're going to deploy the anchor and just drop through the field. And I fully expect that to be the same thing. So if we could just survive the short run drivers to just get up there and then fall back, and we could survive that kind of transition every run, then I think we could put ourselves in good in a good position. So I feel confident, but the work's not over, man. If we get caught up in something, I mean, there's a whole season.
Oh, very true, Cedric. Well, hey, go back on the side note though. I have to ask this. You know, if Vincent happened to be leading that next week, he's already locked in. You're running second place. Are you gonna send him at Charlotte, or is that something we need to look forward to?
Oh, I was gonna do it tonight. So,
What about next week?
No, but I think that's just like a precedent. I mean, has himself like I think he's pretty comfortable with the points that he has. He's kind of dominated this season, and he has. I personally feel he locked himself basically into the final four. He's been super consistent. He doesn't really make mistakes, so he could afford to not, to battle up front but not finish there.
Well, I'm just praying that maybe we'll see you send him at Charlotte so he doesn't get the win. You get the win, lock yourself in, and then battle for the top 8 to make the champion. But, hey, we'll have to wait to see how Charlotte all plays out because we know that is a fun track. We know you're pretty fast there, like you noted on. But with that being said, man, again, congratulations on your second place finish. Is there anybody you want to give a shout-out to, some lovins, or any shout-out to your sponsors?
Yeah, I want to give a huge shout out to Roasted Gems Coffee. They they weren't on the card tonight, but they normally are. They also support the league. To anybody out there, if you're looking to get some of the best coffee, use code WSSR on at the tail end of your purchase to get
5%.
5%. Thank you. I was going to say 10, but thank you, Robert. 5% off your purchase. I want to give a huge shout out to my teammates. Unfortunately, they were all in line to get really good finishes, and then the wreck happened at the end, and I think the highest finisher was Collie at like 7th or 8th, if I'm not mistaken. So we had good pace. The whole team did tonight. Unfortunately, I was the only one that really walked away with a decent finish, but I know they'll be super competitive, and you can expect them to put in some work, I guess, at Charlotte, and expect to see the team up front. I want to give you a shout out to all the fans out there as well, all the drivers for showing up, and you guys for doing what you guys do. I always look forward to go back on Mondays and rewatch the streams.
All right. Well, hey, thank you. We much appreciate it, and you putting on a great show there. Awesome Fireball Roberts paint scheme throwback there. Congratulations on your second place finish, and we'll see you next week at Charlotte there, Cedric.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be your second place finish there. Cedric Hunter bringing it home second with that Smokies throwback Fireball Roberts. Great paint scheme there, I must say there, Trevor. You know, the best damn garage in town. Hey, that's what it says on the car, right? I know we try
That's
not
what it says.
I try not to cuss, but you know that's not a bad word. But hey, congratulations to him. But you know who else we need to talk about here is this race winner that's been just dominant through the season here. He locks himself into the next round. He doesn't have to really worry about going to Charlotte to get a win, get points. He's ready to go to Dover and Atlanta to try to make himself into the top four and also to become the back-to-back championships. So we're gonna bring up Vincent Sora to see how his race went. Vincent Sora, Robert up in the booth. How you doing there, buddy?
I hear you loud and clear. I'm doing pretty good.
All right. Well, hey, first of all, man, what a race. Give us a rundown through tonight's race for you there. You were pretty dominant. You had a fast car. You did battle there for a little bit with your teammate there, Brian Johnson, side by side there at the beginning of the race. And you left him pull away a little bit, and then you ran him down in both stages, and you did it, and looked like you just had a better car in the long run. But give us the rundown of your race there, sir.
Yeah, the race was really good. I really love this track. I've been really fast here, like pretty much every time we've gone here in any league. But I've never been able to put a race together here, and it's been obviously probably top 3 on the bucket list for me. So I'm really glad to finally get it here, especially in this race. It was a crown jewel event. It was the first race to play off, super special. So locked in the next round now officially. That's pretty exciting. I get to kind of just go to Charlotte and get extra points for the next round after that to make it in the final 4. But yeah, it was a really good race tonight. I battled Brian pretty hard. I thought he was going to be a really big threat at the beginning of the race, and he was, especially for like the first 25, 30 laps of the run. But it seemed like he was struggling with tightness in his car, and he would burn the right front off. And I realized that if I just stayed a little bit patient and kept it close enough to him to where he wouldn't be able to save his stuff in front of me, I'd be able to get around him eventually. Him and I made a little bit of contact early on, racing some lappers, and I gave it back to him, and I was still able to get around him just a few laps later. But yeah, lappers were pretty good tonight. The car felt great. It got looser for me, and everyone else said it got tighter. So I don't know if it was just the way I was driving it or something, or the clean air, but it felt really good for me for how I like to drive this track. And yeah, it was just a really good race all around, and I just glad to finally get a win here at Darlington.
Yeah, Vincent, I mean, you dominated the whole race, apart from the couple of short run stints there with Brian Johnson. But walk us through that last lap. You know, before the green white checkered, you're half a lap away from getting the checkered flag or coming to the white flag, and then you see the guys wreck in front of you. I mean, what's going through your mind right there, seeing them wreck in front of you, knowing that we're going to get a green white checkered?
I was panicking a little bit because I saw that big group of cars ahead of me, and I told myself I was just going to be patient. But then I got an opportunity to get below. I think it was a 54 car, and I started to look below him, and then I think it was Zach and Kyle make a little bit of contact, and saw Kyle go hard in the outside wall, and I backed it down real hard, and I honestly expect him to ping it back down into me. But then obviously once we got away from that, then I started just thinking, all right, no mistakes on pit road. I got to have a perfect restart. Who's going to stay out? And I saw Kyle stay out, and I figured that. With just how long we had on those tires, there was no shot that he wasn't going to spin them, and he did spin the tires. And then I was actually really loose driving down in turn 1, and I saw Cedric plow behind me, and then we got that yellow, and we had to re-rack and do it again. So it was just a little stressful, but I knew if I put down 2 really good qualifying laps and got a good restart, that I'd pretty much just be able to seal the deal.
Yeah, it sounds like a good plan there. And we were worried about that up here, Vincent, up here in the booth. We were like, oh my God, I was even saying, don't worry about the cars in front of you, just back down. You had a 6-second lead over Steven Stempian, and then unfortunately that happened. Now my final question to you is that on that first green white checkered, when Brandon Colley did stay out, if he wouldn't have done the wheel spin and would have made it down in the turn 1, what was your game plan? Were you gonna try to blow by him? Would you give him that bump and run again like you did last week? Even though it's all good, I just just asking.
No, I was just gonna hold it tight on his door and put my foot to the floor and try to get around him. I feel like he really would have struggled anyways on the old tires, and I probably would have been able to clear him. But I was a little bit worried that maybe he was gonna wash up into me or something, and obviously we didn't want to repeat it last week with what I did to him. I feel really bad about it, and wouldn't want that to happen again. But yeah, thankfully everything was clean between us this time, and hopefully it'll stay like that for the rest of the season.
Most definitely, and I have to agree. Hey, good, some good drama is good drama, right? Sometimes we needed teammates, not teammates, friendships, whatever it is. It's all battling out on the track. But my last question to you, Vincent Sora, before I let you give your shout outs, what what paint scheme is that throwback?
That is a Ricky Rudd throwback to his old Motocraft car, his old 15 car. It was last second. My painter, Tom Sinchek, who does a great job, painted it for me around like midnight last night. Uh, so yeah, it looks really good, and I thought it was pretty cool to match the number.
There you go. Yeah, I like it. Just wasn't ringing a bell into me, but yeah, awesome throwback as we were talking about them all night here. And I got a question to ask you. Where did you qualify at? Did you qualify on the pole?
I did. I qualified P1.
All right. Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, looks like I'm going to be pulling out the notebooks. I don't know if you know this, but you have become one of the freaky fastest. Uh, I forget what we're calling it, but basically, you won. You got the pole. You won all the stages, and you won the race. So you now get to be tallied into one of our record books.
That's pretty cool. I remember that stat being tossed around when we talked about doing this crown jewel race. That's awesome. I had honestly forgotten about that, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Especially rare for me to win the pole here. I usually don't do that either, so that's awesome.
Well, congratulations. I'll be pulling out the book and I can't remember, but I will post it in Discord here for the league and everybody out on our social media of the years that we had and who has done it. And I believe you're only the third driver to do it in 3 years. Now granted, now every league runs 3 stages. So unfortunately that only qualifies if you run 2 stages, basically 3 stages. But anyways, with that being said, congratulations on your win. Anybody want to give a shout out, Lovin's sponsors or anything like that for your victory here at WSSR?
Yeah, just everybody in the league, all of our wonderful sponsors. You guys for broadcasting, you do a great job. Can't wait to go back and rewatch this one. I want to thank all the drivers for racing clean tonight. We had a really low caution count, so that's a great job to them because having long green flag runs here is great. It's perfect. Tom Sinchek for the beautiful paint scheme as always. Can't wait to see my primary back out next week with the banner on it. It's going to look really good. And just all my teammates and everybody that makes this possible.
All right. Well, congratulations again, Vincent Sora, and we will catch you next week at Charlotte, where you do not have to worry about it, buddy. You are locked into the next round.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be your race winner, Vincent Sora. And yeah, Trevor, I forget what we call it. I do apologize. It is a stat that I do. We keep track of. But he becomes the third driver in Freaky Fast history to get the pole, get both stages, and win the race.
Yeah, I can't.
I'm having a brain fart too.
Yeah, I can't remember it either, but the dominant performance tonight from Vincent Sora all the way around. The 2 short runs that Brian Johnson was able to get by him there, tracked him back down, like you said, just kind of was patient with it. Comes out of here with, I believe, his 5th win of the season, locks himself into the round of 8, doesn't have to worry about Charlotte, but great win for Vincent Sora. Cedric Hunter is going to come home second. Aaron Krolick is going to be third. Justin Lewis with another good run for himself is going to be in 4th. Tom Sinchek rebounds after getting into the outside wall a couple times and qualifying down there in 15th, up 10 spots, going to finish 5th. Ryan Bird with a great run after his poor qualifying performance is going to be 6th. Jamie Dunning, another solid performance from the 54 machine, is going to be in 7th. Brian Johnson, who we saw up front all night long, started 2nd. Got into that late wreck on the first green white checker. Is going to be down there in 8th. Alexander Light with a good run for himself after missing a couple weeks will be 9th. And Zach Hall will round out your top 10 also after being caught up in that green white checkered caution and along with his great save that he had early on.
Yeah, he's going to round out the top 10. And looking through the rest of the field here, Trevor, Brandon Colley, Old Tires, is going to finish out in the 12th position on the lead lap. Great strategy call. Kind of shocking, but looking down through the rest of the field, Steven Stempien, 19th. That's going to hurt. A lot of playoff drivers down here. Aaron Smith, finishing 26th. That is going to hurt. You got Chuck down here, finishing in 24th. So we're going to have some drivers going into next week that are just going to be looking at, hey, all I need to do is get this amount of points finishing in front of this driver or that driver. You're going to have some drivers going into next week, a must-win situation. No choice. Going to Charlotte. They have to win the race. So there's going to be different big strategy calls going on here starting next week here at Charlotte.
Yeah, going to be huge strategy calls. I mean, Chuck Sweeting, Carl Puller, Aaron Smith, even the likes of maybe Dunning, even with his great finish, all going to be in spots where they might be in a must-win situation next week into Charlotte. And Charlotte's not going to be a race that you're going to want to miss here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting next week, is we're going to cut this playoff field down from 16 to 8. They were nice and cordial tonight until that last green-white checker where it got a little bit chaotic. But next week, being a cutoff race, I expect the intensity to ramp up to 100, if not more, and the excitement level will be there as we continue playoff racing next week and for the rest of this week, Robert.
Most definitely. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to say thank you for everybody tuning in here tonight at Freaky Fast Broadcasting with the World Series of Sim Racing League, brought to you by Roasted Gem Coffee. We do much appreciate them being the sponsor of WSSR Cup Series. But with that being said, I got one more thing to add, and we're going to sign off. What we call it is the Freaky Fast Grand Slam. He is the third driver to come up with it. So congratulations to Vincent Sora for getting that and putting himself into the Freaky Fast record books here. But also, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to tune in. We will be busy all next week with playoffs starting throughout the whole week as we go to the Truck Series on Monday night. They're going to be in their playoffs. And then we got Tuesday night. They're getting ready to end their season here in the next couple weeks at Full Send. They will be getting ready to go in their playoffs. And then we start Wicked Racing League on Wednesday night. We have playoff racing there. And then Thursday night, they're already in their playoffs, getting ready to do what they're doing, getting ready to go to their next round on Thursday night, where hopefully we'll have Sam Dyer back into the booth. Then we will be back here on Saturday night, Charlotte Motor Speedway, getting ready to cut these down from 16 to 8 drivers, as we know, and we'll see who advances into the next 8 drivers for that next round at Dover and Atlanta Motor Speedway. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we do much appreciate everybody tuning in, and we're going to sign off from here at Darlington Motor Speedway. So congratulations again to Vincent Sora, and we want to tell everybody out there, stay safe, stay strong, stay freaky fast. God bless everybody. We love yous all. Peace out.